Chapter 576. A few days later, it was another spring plowing festival. Every house in Lanyan City was decorated with lanterns and streamers. People always hoped that their prayers to the heavens would bring them good weather in the new year. However, they did not know that the weather was not controlled by the gods. It was caused by the movement of the planet, the changes in the earth, and the rise and fall of the temperature. However, all of this did not seem important. People still celebrated the spring plowing festival. It was more like a habit. Early in the morning, Lin Muyu led all the generals above the rank of captaincy in the Longdan army camp and slowly set off to Zetian Palace to participate in the empire's spring plowing festival ceremony, just like in previous years. Zetian Palace was bustling with activity. The officials congratulated and saluted each other as if it was the spring festival. Lin Muyu could not help but sigh inwardly. He remembered that he had also participated in the spring plowing festival 5 years ago. At that time, Qin Jin was still around. Now, the old officials had died one by one. The empire's commanders had also been replaced by the younger generation. The wheel of history did not care about anyone's unwillingness or unwillingness. It only rolled along with time, crushing all oaths and dreams. Not long after, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi walked up to the palace side by side. The officials knelt on one knee and saluted, shouting, "Long live." Before the ceremony began, the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, Ji Lin, walked forward shakily and picked up a scroll to read. Recently, the Heavenly Book Pavilion has collected a total of 2 low-grade Heavenly Books, 23 Earth Books, 97 Spiritual Books, and 214 Personal Books. This is the detailed table of contents. Please have a look, Your Highness. After reading it, Qin Yin said happily, "Manager Ji Lin, thank you for your hard work." Then, this afternoon, the Minister of War, Feng Jixing, will personally lead the Imperial Guards to the Heavenly Book Pavilion to collect the books. All the Heavenly Book weapon embryos will be stored in the military warehouse and distributed to the major armies for use. Ji Lin bowed his head and said, "Thank you for your grace, Your Highness." The Heavenly Compendium Pavilion had been established for a long time, and it already had over 100 Earth tomes in its collection. Handing all of them over to the Ministry of War made Feng Jixing feel like he had suddenly become a rich person. This was also the reason why Qin Yin appointed him as the Minister of War. Once Feng Jixing became the Minister of War, he would be able to control a huge amount of resources. At the very least, the Longdan army camp and the Imperial army would not suffer any grievances when it came to the distribution of equipment and rations. Not only would he not suffer any grievances, but he would also be taken care of like a son. When the ceremony began, everyone gathered outside. Qin Yin was dressed in a deep purple robe with golden embroidery. Her hair swayed in the wind, and she was indescribably beautiful. She looked behind her and smiled. "Princess Shi, Commander Yu, follow me to lead the oxen and plow." Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu gladly walked forward. At this moment, the great deacon of the Divine Temple, Xinyuan Hong, held the imperial edict in his hand and walked on the high platform. He began to read the Empress's spring plowing festival dedication. His Saint Heaven Realm cultivation was contained in his voice, and it was very loud and clear. Even the crowd of commoners hundreds of meters away could hear him clearly. While Xinyuan Hong was reading the imperial edict, Lin Muyu hitched a plow to an ox and led the ox on a piece of land dug out by the imperial guards. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each held a plow and followed Lin Muyu to open up the wasteland with smiles on their faces. In the distance, the commoners cheered loudly and knelt down in droves. The Qin family had been the hegemon of the continent for 10,000 years. Compared to the insurrection and the brutality of the nation, they were still considered kind to the people. This was also the reason why Qin Yin was so popular. Moreover, many people came because of the Empress's beauty. Looking from afar, the beautiful woman in her fluttering white robe was like a fairy that had descended to the world. How could they not be excited? Lin Muyu slowly led the oxen forward and said softly, "The demon clan has made a move." These days, there are constant reports from the Yushu, saying that the demon clan's armored demon army is constantly gathering in Winter Frost City. According to the speed of their troops, The demon clan will definitely attack the steel protective wall in Tsangnan province within a month. Qin Yin nodded gently. There will be another war. Lin Muyu smiled. This time, let's fight for the victory. Oh? Brother Yu, do you have such confidence? Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and recalled the situation of the magic crystal cannons firing last night. Qin Xiling had mastered the collision explosion technique, and every cannon could basically make a sound. The only shortcoming was the range, which was at most 500 meters. It had to be very close to the target to have a miraculous effect, but this was also something that could not be helped. Due to the lack of technology, it could only be improved slowly. However, Lin Muyu had already ordered Qin Xiling to cast magic crystal cannons in batches. In the next war, the magic crystal cannons would have a miraculous effect. Qin Yin did not know what Lin Muyu was thinking. She just smiled and said, "I don't care. Anyway, I will personally supervise and lead the army in this war." Oh. Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and extended the spirit pulse technique to explore the flow of battle energy in Qin Yin's body. Unexpectedly, she found that she could not see through Qin Yin's cultivation. The power flowing in her body was not the pure king's fighting flame, but a mysterious power that was several times more tyrannical than the king's fighting flame, divine power. Could it be that Qin Yin had stepped into the godly state? That should not be the case. Breaking through and stepping into the godly state at the age of 25 was unprecedented. Even if Qin Yin was talented, she could not be this powerful. As if she could see that Lin Muyu was examining her, Qin Yin chuckled and said, "Don't look at me. I am only at the Holy King state. However, I am confident that I have more than a 30% chance of winning against a divine lord. 30% is not enough. I don't care. Anyway, I don't agree with you leading the army in person. I am going anyway." "I don't care." Tang Xiaoxi, who was listening at the side, felt her scalp go numb. Good heavens, on such a holy ceremony, can you two stop being so willful? "I don't care. Anyway, I am going to participate in the war." From afar, Feng Jixing crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi plowing the field. Suddenly he sighed. Zhang Wei squinted his eyes and asked, "Commander, what's wrong?" Feng Jixing nodded. His eyes gleamed with wisdom and said, "I don't care. Anyway, I am going to the brothel to drink tonight. Once the war starts, I won't have such a chance anymore." Zhang Wei's body trembled. He did not know what to say at all. His whole body was in a mess. In the afternoon, Feng Jixing transported batches of Heavenly Book embryos from the Heavenly Book Pavilion. This made Lu Feng, Lu Ying, Ouyang Bao, and the others in the Heavenly Book Pavilion feel distressed. However, this was fate. The scholars who entered the Heavenly Book Pavilion were destined to be a tool to produce heavenly books. The meaning of their existence was to write more and more powerful heavenly books for the empire in exchange for the glory of being conferred nobility. Feng Jixing saw a group of familiar figures before he entered the Minister of War's residence. It was Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, Citizen, and the others. They also brought along hundreds of cavalrymen from the Longdan army camp. "Oh, this guy," Feng Jixing complained incessantly. "He has been waiting for me even before I entered the door. How can there be such a person?" Zhang Wei chuckled. "He has always been this kind of person." Lin Muyu had already spurred her horse forward. She smiled and said, "Big brother Feng, my good brother, I'm here to collect the Heavenly Books embryo from the Brave Dragon Battalion. Do you think my 5 carriages are enough?" Feng Jixing's eyes widened. "There are only 5 carriages in total. You might as well take all of them and take my life away." "Oh, you are treating me like an outsider. Then I will take 3 carriages." "Don't give me that. Do you think you are transporting feces? 1 carriage at a time? I will give you 1 carriage at most." "That won't do. The Valiant Dragon Legion is the #1 legion bestowed by His Highness. If you want to send me away with 1 carriage, you will need at least 2. "Absolutely not. There are more than a dozen legions in the Empire waiting for the Heavenly Book embryos. If we give them all to you, what can we do? At most, we will give you 1.5 carriage. It's a deal. 1.5 carriage it is." I will suffer a loss. Lin Muyu dismounted and opened the door to the first carriage. She reached out and grabbed a dagger. She weighed it in her hand and saw that there were yellow divine characters on it. She smiled and said, "This mid-grade earthly book is not bad. I will accept it. This high-grade earthly book is also of the highest grade. I will take it. And this top-grade earthly book? There are so many good things." Feng Jixing trembled with anger. These resources must be collected and registered. Do you think you can pick them as you please? Brat, put that top-grade earthly book down. I saw it first. Look at how stingy you are. How did you become the Minister of War? If you are so stingy, you should be an assistant minister in the Ministry of Revenue. Lin Muyu saw that most of the carriages were earthly books and spiritual books. There were no human books at all. They were all top-grade weapon embryos. Lin Muyu could not help but walk forward with a smile on her face. She grabbed the reins of the war horse and smiled at the soldier driving the horse. "Brother, come down." The soldier did not dare to say anything. "Yes, Commander Yu." What are you trying to do?" Feng Jixing's eyes were wide open. Lin Muyu flipped over and sat on the carriage. Her smile was very bright. "What else can I do?" "Brother Feng, you said that you will give me 1.5 carriage of heavenly books. I will take all of them. Dream on. No, get down. Stingy. I think you shouldn't be called Feng Jixing in the future. Just call yourself Feng Stingy. We're brothers. Don't tell me that this cart of military supplies isn't worth it. Move aside, I'm driving the horse away. Don't get hit by it, I can't afford it." "Brat, don't go." Feng Jixing still wanted to say something, but Lin Muyu had already galloped away on her horse. In a flash, she disappeared from the Ministry of War's Minister of War's residence. How was this collecting resources? This was no different from robbery. Feng Jixing was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "My heavenly books. Brat, I am so angry." At this moment, Sidu Shui walked forward with a beautiful smile. "General Feng, there are still half a carriage of resources in the Longdan army camp. Do you want me to pick them myself?" "No, absolutely not. The embryonic heavenly books in this carriage are not bad. Come. Let's unload half of them and drive the carriage away. The Ministry of War is overflowing with wealth. We don't need this carriage." Sidu-sun was already busy. Not long after, half a carriage of embryonic heavenly books was taken away. Feng Jixing stood there desolately. He felt very sad. It was as if the Ministry of War had encountered a group of robbers. Luo Yu coughed. "Commander, what do we do now? Do we still need to register?" "Register what?" Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and said, "Choose half of the remaining 3.5 carts of earth tomes and spiritual tomes for the Imperial Guards to use. Distribute the rest to the various armies. Also, leave all the low-grade heavenly tomes for the Imperial Guards." "Commander, the inferior-grade heavenly books have been taken away by Commander Yu. Where are we going to find more?" Feng Jixing howled. He did not even have the mood to drink wine. Chapter 577. 18 days later, on the 18th of January, year 7736 of the imperial calendar, the demons finally sent their troops. The rumor had already spread in the human territory. Everyone was in a state of panic. The demons were like a nightmare that haunted everyone's mind. Anyone who had witnessed the demon slaughter was trembling with fear. Moreover, according to the military reports and rumors, the demons' vanguard was aiming at the steel wall of the Daojiang tributary of the empire. They were determined to conquer it. Early in the morning, rays of sunlight fell on the gilded carpet in the main hall of the Zetian Palace. The officials stood in great numbers, their faces full of fear and uneasiness. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi entered the hall one after another. After sitting down gracefully, Qin Yin said, "It's just the beginning of spring, and the demons are invading in large numbers. Someone, tell us the military report in detail." An assistant minister of the Ministry of War reported, 3 days ago, the demons' army set out from the Winterfrost city in the Lingdong province. The Qianfeng Corps has 140,000 soldiers, including 100,000 armor demons, 30,000 winged people, and nearly 10,000 advanced demons. The Thunder Rush Corps has 210,000 soldiers, including 170,000 armored demons, 40,000 winged people, and more than 10,000 horseshoe people in the Daojiang River. The demons have 150,000 human soldiers in the human territory of the Lingdong province. They have a total of 510,000 menacing soldiers. Qin Yin couldn't help but gasp. She had only heard the rough information about the demons' military strength. Now she knew that the demons actually had so many troops. Xiang Yu frowned and didn't say anything. Su Muyun cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, there's no need to be afraid. Since the Empire and the demons have already fought at the Steel Wall, there's no need to be afraid. The demons are also made of flesh and blood. There's nothing to be afraid of." In the crowd, a deputy general said, "It's just that the Thunder Rush Corps has 170,000 armor demons. 170,000. Even 500,000 cavalrymen may not be a match for this army." Feng Jixing frowned and didn't say anything. At this time, an old official with a walking stick stepped out of the ranks. He was Count Qingyun, an old noble who controlled more than 1/3 of the ore transactions in Lanyan City. Count Qingyun held the jade tablet in one hand and said, "Your Highness, the demons are coming with a fierce momentum, but they aren't necessarily coming for the Empire. Don't forget that our mortal enemy is the Iha kingdom of Lingnan. In this old subject's opinion, it would be better to send an emissary to the demon camp before the war begins and make some promises to negotiate peace with the demons. We can sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight. When the demons and the Iha kingdom are mutually wounded, we can wait for an opportunity to strike. This is the best strategy." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "Does Count Qingyun think it's possible for us to negotiate with the demons?" "Count Qin, if I may be so bold as to ask, have you ever seen the scene of a demon killing?" "I didn't. The demons are ferocious, and countless civilians have died to their claws and butcher knives. Moreover, we are nothing but food in their eyes. Do you think the demons will negotiate with food?" With that, Lin Muyu said indifferently, "If we negotiate, it'll be showing weakness to the demons. They won't hesitate to attack the Empire first, so there's no need to talk about peace." The Blue Cloud Count was startled and said, "Commander Yu, as a soldier of the army, surely you don't understand these political tactics. Even if the demon race treats us as food, what does it matter if they don't have absolute certainty of victory?" Feng Jixing laughed from the side. "Very well, I also agree with the negotiation. Then why don't you send Count Qingyun to the demon camp as the Empire's emissary? Also, this general will give you a word of advice. Why don't you take a bath in honey water before you go? Armor demons like sweet food, not greasy or spicy food." "You!" Count Qingyun was livid with anger. He took several steps back and didn't say anything else. At this time, Tang Lan took a step forward. "I think your Highness has already made up your mind on whether to fight or negotiate." Qin Yin's lips curled up. Her voice was very calm. "Fight. Our Qin clan isn't used to kneeling. Even if we lose, we won't beg for a moment of peace from the demons." With that, Qin Yin looked straight at Tang Lan. "Duke Lan, oh no, Seven Seas King, I have something I don't understand and want to ask Seven Seas King." Tang Lan's body trembled. "Your Highness. Your Highness can ask anything. Since the beginning of this month, there hasn't been a single letter from the Seven Seas province to the capital. Apart from that, there hasn't been any news from the Seven Seas province and the Divine Temple. It's as if the Seven Seas province has disappeared from the map of the Empire. May I ask the Seven Seas King, I think you know best what happened to the Seven Seas province?" Qin Yin's gaze was like a knife, causing Tang Lan to feel a prick on his back. This old subject also doesn't know, but this old subject will immediately send my servants to the Seven Seas province to mobilize troops to fight the demons. "That's good." Qin Yin said indifferently, "How about this? Xiaoxi is a descendant of the Tang clan and also the bloodline of the Seven Seas King. I will send Xiaoxi to lead the national army to the Seven Seas Pass to take over the troops of the Seven Seas province. All troops of the Seven Seas province must immediately hand over the sword seal to Xiaoxi after leaving the Seven Seas Pass and listen to Xiaoxi's orders. In this battle, Xiaoxi will command all the troops of the Seven Seas City. What do you think, Duke Lan? Tang Lan trembled slightly. Yes, this old subject obeys. Qin Yin nodded happily and stood up. She looked at the officials and said, "Then let's start the battle. Luo Yu, listen up. This general is here. Leave 30,000 imperial guards under your command to defend the capital." Qin Yin continued, "Feng Jixing, listen up. This general is here. You will lead the remaining 30,000 imperial guards to fight with me." Qin Yin took a deep breath and said, "Receive my orders. King of Yunzhong Su Myun, General Su Yu, 300,000 men and horses in Qiyunzhong province. Marquis of Yunling Lin Muyu will be reinstated. He will command all the troops in the valiant Dragon Corps and follow me into battle." Lin Muyu, Su Muyun, and Su Yu stepped forward and knelt on one knee to listen to the order. Qin Yin then looked at the people of the Tang clan and said, "Seven Sea King, you still have close to 200,000 troops in Earthstar Province and Northridge Province. Gather the troops with Xiang Yu, the Marquis of Pingnan, and follow me to the steel protective wall to fight the demons." Tang Lan, Xiang Yu, Tang Shi, and the others knelt down. "All generals, prepare the provisions and equipment. We will set off in 3 days." Yes. The Empress had issued an imperial edict, and the war was on the verge of breaking out. The entire Lanyan city was naturally shrouded in a gloomy cloud. Other than those generals, there was probably no one in this world who liked war. Late at night, the camp of the Dragon Courage Legion was still bustling with activity. The 3 armies had yet to move, but the provisions and fodder had to go first. Feng Shi was already gathering the provisions and sending them out to the Longdan army camp. This time, the Empire had mobilized nearly 1,000,000 troops to fight the demons. They couldn't lose, they had to win. In the commander's tent, the fragrance of tea filled the air. Chu Yao frowned as she brewed tea. In front of her, Lin Muyu sat majestically, and beside her was Qin Yin, who was dressed casually. "Does Xiao Yin also suspect Tang Lan?" Lin Muyu finally asked. "How can I not be suspicious?" Qin Yin sighed faintly. "Tang Lan has always been disloyal, and the troops of Qihai City have always been unable to be used by us. Now, Tang Lan has even cut off the correspondence between Qihai City and Lanyan City. Her intentions are clear, so I can only order Xiaoxi to take over the troops of Qihai City. As long as Xiaoxi controls the hundreds of thousands of troops of Qihai City, I believe the overall situation will be set. Xiao Yin seems to be very confident that we can defeat the demons this time." Chu Yao asked with a smile. Qin Yin also smiled, but her smile was full of bitterness. She said, "The land left by my father was originally extremely rich, but in recent years, there have been continuous wars, and people have no way to live. This time, with the troops of Qihai City, we have used nearly 1,000,000 troops to fight against the demons, which has already affected the foundation of the empire. If we don't win, the national strength of the Qin Empire will be greatly damaged, and we will no longer have the strength to fight against the demons." Lin Muyu reached out to take the tea handed over by Chu Yao, put it to her nose and sniffed it. She said, "In order to prepare for the war, all places are collecting and buying grain. Many people have even taken out the grain for winter. If we lose this war indeed, I don't know how many people will starve to death, and the national treasury is a bit empty. For us, the best result is to defeat the demons and recover Lingnan. With the resources of Lingnan, maybe we can still deal with the demons. This war is a battle of life and death for us." Chu Yao said faintly, "I don't know military strategy, but I believe you can do it." Well, the night was dark, but it was unknown how many people could not sleep peacefully this night. The starlight sprinkled in the courtyard, and the sound of crutches hitting the stone floor echoed softly. Tang Lan stood under the begonia tree in the backyard of the mansion with a pale face, looking at the begonia tree that had not bloomed yet, and suddenly sighed. "Grandpa, what's wrong?" Tang Xiaoxi asked softly. "It's Xiaoxi." It was rare for Tang Xiaoxi to return to the Qihai Palace to spend the night. Tang Lan's face was a little more gratified, and she said, "I don't know. I don't know if Grandpa can see this year's begonia blooming. Tang Xiaoxi stared blankly for a moment before replying, Of course I can see what Grandpa is saying. Don't forget that the Empire has many powerful generals. Although the demons are strong, we aren't weak either. We won't lose this war. Even if we win this war, our Tang family will lose. Tang Lan sighed and said, Can't Xiaoxi see that the Empress completely doesn't trust me? Tang Xiaoxi held Tang Lan's arm and said, Xiaoxi is not stupid. Naturally, she can see it, but doesn't Xiao Yin trust me very much? As long as I lead the 300,000 soldiers of the Qihai province to defeat the demons, I will definitely be able to win back Xiao Yin's trust in the Tang family. What do you think, Grandpa? Perhaps. Tang Lan smiled slightly. Will Grandpa follow Xiao Yin to fight the demons? Tang Lan raised his head and looked at the begonia tree swaying in the breeze, and said, Decades ago, before Her Highness Yin was born, I followed the former emperor to conquer the south and the north. Now, it seems that I have returned to that time. Perhaps this is the ending that the old General Tang Lan deserves? Chapter 578. Tuck, tuck, tuck. In the sound of hooves, a man in a white robe galloped straight into the depths of the Longdan army camp. Feng Jixing dismounted and walked into the commander's tent with the horsewhip in his hand. He looked up and saw Lin Muyu and Chu Yao eating. It was the day before the departure, but they still had an appetite. Brother Feng, you're here? Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Someone, add another set of chopsticks. No need. Feng Jixing sat down and said, I'm not here to eat. I'm here to collect a debt. Collect a debt? Chu Yao laughed. What does you owe Brother Feng? The promise. Feng Jixing squinted his eyes and smiled. You promised me that he would give some to the Imperial Guards after the research of the magic crystal cannon is completed. Now I'm here for the magic crystal cannon. Magic crystal cannon? Chu Yao murmured. She didn't know what it was, but she was smart and knew not to ask what she shouldn't ask, so she ate the rice silently. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, Don't worry, don't worry. Even if I gave it to you now, you wouldn't be able to transport it. A magic crystal cannon weighs more than 10,000 jin. A normal carriage would be crushed by the weight. Even if you dismantle it, it would require a lot of manpower to transport it. Boy, what are you going to do? Brother Feng, you'll know when we go for a walk after dinner. What? After dinner, the two galloped out of the city and went straight to the forest in the south of the city. About an hour later, the sound of water came from the forest. Feng Jixing was the commander of the Imperial Guards, so he naturally knew the terrain around Lanyan City. The sound of water came from a river closest to Lanyan City, named Water Lin River. It was said that there used to be a water Kailan bathing in the Water Lin River. It was a legend of thousands of years. No one knew whether it was true or not, but the water of the Water Lin River was very deep and connected to the main basin of the Rice River. It was constantly diverted to irrigate the farmland and became wider and wider. Water Lin River? Feng Jixing frowned. That's right. Lin Muyu raised her horsewhip and pointed to the front. I have ordered the logistics troops in the Longdan army camp to dismantle the magic crystal cannons and transport them to the riverside. Then, we will dispatch the Navy's warships to transport them. A Navy warship can transport about 3 to 5 magic crystal cannons. The draft is very deep. Adding the weight of the Navy, a warship can transport 3 magic crystal cannons. As expected, after the two of them passed through a bush, they saw a group of soldiers from the Longdan army camp moving the parts of the magical crystal cannon onto the warships. There were dozens of warships docked by the river, and the area within a few miles had been cordoned off. Greetings, Commander. A 1,000-man commander stepped forward and bowed respectfully. How's the shipping progress? Lin Muyu asked. More than half of the goods have been loaded. Please rest assured, Lord Commander. That's good. Lin Muyu looked at the ripples on the Water Lin River complacently. No one knew how long this war would last, but the Empire wouldn't be so passive this time. Feng Jixing was also a little excited and smiled. Good lad, how many magic crystal cannons do you have now? I've sold all my belongings and sold everything I have. Lin Muyu's face revealed a pained expression as she said, "In addition to the limited time, I only managed to forge 50 magic crystal cannons." 50? Feng Jixing raised his gaze. "I want 20. You're asking for too much. 10 at most. These are my life." "No, 15 is at least. Otherwise, what's the use? You have to provide me with cannoneers to load the cannons. Otherwise, the Imperial Guards won't know how to use them, and there'll be a pile of scrap metal." "All right, 15 it is." Lin Muyu took a deep breath. "These magic crystal cannons will go through the waterway and reach Daojiang. But Brother Feng, don't use them unless it's absolutely necessary. These cannons are quite powerful, but they have very few cannons. I've almost plundered all the magic crystals in Lanyan City. One cannonball is one less." "All right," Feng Jixing said. "Then how many cannons will you give me?" 10 for each cannon. Isn't that too little?" "Don't think it's too little. It's basically the same." Lin Muyu smiled awkwardly. "The technology isn't mature yet. After firing a shell, the barrel of the magic crystal cannons will burn red and need 2 minutes to reload and 5 minutes to fire. Otherwise, the barrel will easily explode. Therefore, the magic crystal cannons can only be used as a deterrent for now. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to rely on the magic crystal cannons to destroy the main demon force." "Alright, I understand." Feng Jixing walked forward and reached out to caress the body of one of the cannons. His face was full of infatuation. He couldn't help but caress it again and again. Perhaps even the girls in the brothel didn't receive such good treatment here. He couldn't help but smile fondly. What a treasure! In a situation where the Empire is only equipped with arrow boxes and ballistae, we actually have such a powerful cannon with such a long range. It's not easy at all. "This isn't a cannon," Lin Muyu corrected. "The power of law produced by the explosion of the magic crystals isn't fire, but lightning. The explosion caused by high-temperature lightning isn't something ordinary armor can defend against. I'm afraid the demons don't know the secret of the magic crystals." "Huh?" Feng Jixing patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. "It's great that the Empire has you. If you really died 4 years ago, I really don't know how we'll fight this war today." "Don't worry, someone will fight." "Yes, but who will it be?" "An unscrupulous villain like Xiangyu, a boorish man like Su Long who knows nothing about military strategy, or a scheming general of the Tang family." Feng Jixing looked at him deeply. "There are only a few generals that the Empire can use. This is the biggest reason why His Highness values me and you. Don't say it so sadly. We'll set off tomorrow. Brother Feng, have you thought about how to fight this war?" "I don't know." Feng Jixing shook his head. "The demon army is too strong. The armor demons are so brave and good at fighting, but their number is close to 300,000. As for us, although the Empire claims to have millions of soldiers, you and I both know that more than 60% of them are new recruits. They haven't even seen the demons before. Once they see the armor demons and winged people, I can only pray that they don't wet their pants." "Ha!" Holding the sword hilt, Lin Muyu burst into laughter. Looking at the surging river, she said, "Moreover, Yunzhong Province and Earthstar Province are recruiting soldiers on a large scale, but they don't have enough equipment. I've seen some corps in Earthstar Province a few days ago. The soldiers only wear military uniforms without any armor. Most of their weapons are spears. Only the spearheads are made of steel while the spear bodies are made of wood. Although the wood is very hard, I'm afraid it's useless in front of the thick weapons of the armor demons. I can't imagine what it's like for Duke Lan and Duke Yun's men to fight the demons with a pile of junk." "Yes." Feng Jixing sighed and said, "These new soldiers are the lives of the Empire, but, for the sake of Duke Lan and Duke Yun's army expansion, these young people may die worthlessly under the blades of the demons." "Ayu, Tang Lan has blocked the communication between the Seven Seas Province and Lanyan City. The imperial capital has no idea about the deployment of all the troops in the Seven Seas Province. Master Lan may have some plans." "You mean Duke Lan will attack Lanyan City when we're fighting with the demons in Sangnan Province?" Feng Jixing looked at the lofty outline of Lanyan City in the distance with profound eyes. Lanyan City is the capital, the richest city in the world. It's the location of the 3 ministries and 6 ministries of the empire. Once Lanyan City is controlled by Tanglan, I'm afraid that Her Highness Qin Yin won't be able to return to Lanyan City. Once the supply of the capital to the front line is cut off, we're bound to collapse. I'm afraid that it will cause trouble. Lin Muyu smiled. Hasn't Xiao Yin ordered Duke Lan and Xiang Yu to lead the troops to accompany her? It's okay. Besides, Xiao Shi has already gone to Qihai Pass to receive the troops of the Tang family. Xiao Shi has the Iron Order of the Tang sect. She's not afraid that the Tang family won't obey her. Well, we can only hope that the situation will develop in a good direction. Let's go. Tonight, we have to respond to each other and cheer up the senior generals. Otherwise, they've been frightened by the 500,000 troops of the demon clan. Yes. Soon, night fell, and a bright moon hung high in the sky. The crescent moon caused many scholars and poets to recite poems that had been passed down through the ages. However, at this moment, the crescent moon hung over Lanyan City like a blood-red sickle. Once it fell, the people of the 3 realms would definitely perish. On the high platform of the valiant dragon army, Lin Muyu stood majestically with the star's sword in his hand. His cloak fluttered in the wind, and the 3-star general insignia on his shoulder glowed with golden light under the moonlight. He looked at the people below the platform. Almost all the middle and senior generals of the Longdan army camp were gathered here. Nearly 100 people were fighting in a mighty manner. Everyone stared at Lin Muyu. They were all boorish people, but they knew that their commander had something to say. They were all waiting to see what kind of shocking words Lin Muyu, who had once served as the great deacon of the Holy Temple, would say. Lin Muyu cleared his throat and asked, "Brothers, you and I are all soldiers of the Empire. Now that the 500,000 troops of the Demon Clan have invaded our territory, they are far stronger than us. I only have one question for you. Are you afraid?" Everyone shouted at the top of their lungs. It's useless to be afraid. Lin Muyu raised his sword and said, "It's our destiny to spill blood on the battlefield. Only through this battle can we protect our home. I, Lin Muyu, can't guarantee that you can come back alive to see the bright moon of Lanyan City again. But I promise that even if we die in battle, our valiant dragon army will only die in glory and not drag out an ignoble existence. I can't promise that we can lead you to victory, but I promise that we will do our best and live up to the honor of the soldiers of the Empire. Everyone, turn around and go to sleep. We will set off tomorrow morning." Chapter 579. That night, countless people couldn't sleep, and countless people were crying because they were about to leave their families. Qianfeng had gathered an army of 500,000, and with an unprecedented military strength, no one could escape from this war. In the commander's tent of the valiant dragon army, the lights were flickering. Lin Muyu didn't sleep for the entire night. This night was very important to him. He finally made a big decision: to engrave the star's sword. That's right, as he became more proficient in the engraving technique, Lin Muyu had enough confidence to guarantee the success rate of engraving. Furthermore, the star's sword was a lesser god weapon, an excellent tool embryo. When the rooster crowed, Lin Muyu slowly put down the carving knife. One side of the star's sword was glowing with the luster of a profound formation. It wasn't easy to engrave a seal on a narrow sword body, but Lin Muyu had already done it. The blood-red seal at the bottom was the level 5 Dragon Slayer seal, which provided a certain amount of dragon's might to the stars. On top of the Dragon Slayer seal, there was an overlapping seal, which was the more complicated level 6 Imperial God seal. It could resist the pressure of experts, and could increase the pressure of one's own domain to a certain extent. Lastly, above the 2 seal arrays was the even more complicated level 7 seal array, the God-slaying seal. Even Lin Muyu was amazed by the 3 seal arrays that were engraved in one go. The star sword that was engraved with the God-slaying seal was already glowing with a faint golden radiance. It would greatly increase Lin Muyu's resistance against the godly power and also the power of the godly power that Lin Muyu could unleash. This might not be of much use to ordinary people, but with the dense Fushi godly power that Lin Muyu possessed, It would be of great use to her. However, the star's sword was really too precious, so Lin Muyu left the other side of the sword blank and didn't write the heavenly book. After all, his current understanding of the heavenly book had not reached the peak, and it would be terrible if he messed it up. Moreover, he had to at least have enough confidence to write a heavenly book above the heavenly book level before he could write a book for the star's sword. Dong dong. Wei Chao's voice came from outside. Commander, it's time to set off. His Highness has already prepared a farewell banquet for the 3 armies outside the north gate of Yanlan City. Shall we go and have a drink? I'm going. Lin Muyu did not care about her exhaustion. She sheathed her stellar sword and walked out of the tent. Is everyone ready? Ready. Under the morning light, Wei Chou was dressed in the bright armor of a high-ranking general, looking extremely handsome. That's good. Let's go. Yes. The 20,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp who were stationed in the city slowly left the city. When Lin Muyu and the others arrived outside the city, they saw tables placed on the roadside, and the tables were filled with big bowls. The maids of Zetian Palace were busy pouring wine, and the soldiers who passed by each went forward to drink a bowl of wine. They cherished such an opportunity very much. Who knew when would be the next time they could drink the good wine of Yanlan City? On the hillside, Qin Yin was wearing exquisite soft armor and a white cloak. She watched the army leave Yanlan City, surrounded by Qin Yen and the other imperial guards. Not far away, Feng Jixing was shouting for the imperial guards not to crowd and to leave the city in order. Lin Muyu galloped with Wei Chou and Sidu Senator when they arrived at the foot of the hillside. She cupped her fists and said, Xiao Yin. Qin Yin smiled happily. You're here? Is the valiant Dragon Legion ready? Yes, they will all leave the city soon. Are we going to directly enter the steel wall this time? Yes, but there are too many soldiers, so most of the army has to camp in the Unicorn Forest. We'll make a decision according to the situation and the distribution of the troops of the devil race. At this moment, another group of people rushed out of the city. They were the people from the Cloud King's mansion. The Cloud King, Su Muyun, was clad in golden armor. He held a saber in his hand and urged his horse forward. Su Muyun was also an old general. Although his cultivation wasn't too high, he could still be considered brave. This time, his body condition was much better than before. Was he planning to personally go into battle? Behind Su Muyun, Su Yu, Su Long, Luo Xian, and the other generals of the Su clan came out in a line, especially Luo Xian, who was wearing a silver armor and holding a thick iron spear. The serious injury caused by Lin Muyu had long recovered. Old subject Su Muyun greets Your Highness. Grandfather, you may rise. Qin Yin smiled warmly. She dismounted and held Su Muyun's arm. She smiled and said, Grandfather is almost 70 years old, but you still wear armor and go into battle. Xiao Yin is unfilial and made grandfather suffer. Don't mention it, Your Highness. Su Muyun said, As people of the great Qin army, we naturally have to charge and break through the enemy lines for the empire. The Su clan's army of nearly 300,000 soldiers in the Cloud Province and North Ridge Province is waiting for Your Highness's command. Good, good. Qin Yin nodded and smiled. Get on the horse. Let's prepare to set off. Riding a horse is faster, so we can reach Five Valleys City earlier. Grandfather can rest in Five Valleys City for a few days before following the army. Yes, thank you for your understanding, Your Highness. Under Lin Muyu's gaze, Sidu Sun, Wei Chou, Sidu Shui, Feng Shi, and the other generals of the Longdan army camp went to follow the army, while Lin Muyu brought Bai Yin to protect Qin Yin. After all, Qin Yin's identity was too special. She was the dignified empress of the Qin Empire, and as long as Qin Yin died, the Qin Empire would definitely fall apart. Even with Xianyuan Hong, the Grand Deacon of the Divine Sanctum, protecting her, Lin Muyu still felt a little worried. Chu Chu had gone out to cultivate for a long time and had not returned for a long time. She did not know if he knew that the empire was at war again. If he knew, he would probably come, right? Qin Han did not go with the army as he was still in seclusion, so Qin Yin did not disturb him. When Qin Han's cultivation had improved greatly, He might come to the front of the army. With such a divine lord with 2 martial souls at the helm, the empire would have a better chance of winning. Outside Lanyan City, the army was crowded on the official road, so many troops were traveling cross-country. The mountains and plains were full of people, banners fluttering, people shouting and horses neighing. The momentum was extraordinary. 3 days later, the cavalry arrived at Five Valleys City. This rich city was located between a field and a lake. Governor Su Jiantao led a cavalry out of the city to welcome them. From afar, he ordered the soldiers to stand on both sides of the road. He rode to the side of the road, dismounted, and knelt on one knee. He said respectfully, "Governor of Five Valleys City, Su Jiantao, greets your highness. Long live your highness. General Su, please get up. Let's enter the city." "Yes." Under the protection of Xianyuan Hong and Feng Jixing, Qin Yin was the first to enter the city. Lin Muyu was in the second row, together with Su Myun, Tang Lan, Xiang Yu, and the others. After a few years of recuperation, the death aura of Five Valleys City had dissipated. However, the ruins of the city could still be seen. The city walls were still faintly burned and broken. Five Valleys City was originally a rich city that provided military provisions and Jinin coins. However, after the demon race conquered Lingdong province, Five Valleys City became the first large city to resist the demon race. Luo Xen looked around and said, "I heard that Five Valleys City experienced a war a few years ago and became a dead city. Now, it seems to be so full of life. The rumors are really not credible." Lin Muyu smiled. "Whether the rumors are credible or not, young general can ask Marquis Pingnan." Xiang Yu glared at Lin Muyu and said, "Since ancient times, there is a saying that kindness does not command troops and righteousness does not command wealth. Back then, Xiang Yu received the order in the face of danger. If he didn't use vicious tactics, I'm afraid the Iha kingdom would have entrenched themselves in Five Valleys City. The empire would not have the world it has today." "Is that so?" Lin Muyu smiled coldly. Although she was full of disgust for Xiang Yu, what he said was true. If he didn't use vicious tactics, the Iha kingdom would not have retreated so easily. It was hard to say whether the empire would have the situation it has today. At this time, Tang Lan stroked his beard and said with a smile, "Commander Yu is right. It's a pity, although Commander Yu is a genius, he had already disappeared at that time. Only Marquis Pingnan, Xiang Yu, led the troops. If Commander Yu was here, I'm afraid more than 1,000,000 people would not have died, right?" He was clearly mocking Lin Muyu. However, Lin Muyu did not say anything. She only snorted and entered the city with Bai Yin. At night, a military report arrived. There was a new movement of the demon army. All of them had gathered at the edge of the Lingdong province and had been biding their time for 2 days. Under the dim candlelight, a group of people surrounded the military sand table in Five Valleys City. All of them were silent. Feng Jixing picked up a small green flag and stuck it on the side of a city to the south of the Qinling Mountains. He said, "According to the latest news, the Iha Kingdom's General Long Lin has led nearly 200,000 troops here. Fiery Moon City, a city that you has been to before." "Fiery Moon City?" Lin Muyu frowned. "When I brought the Longdan army camp through Fiery Moon City, it was still in ruins. Are there any 100 Mountains cavalry among these 200,000 troops?" "No." Feng Jixing shook his head and said, "Among them, there are 100,000 infantrymen from 100 Mountains City, and the other 100,000 are new recruits. Moreover, Long Lin has been recruiting and training troops in Fiery Moon City, forming a triangle with Sunset City and 100 Mountains City to confront the Empire's 3 passes in the Qinling Mountains." "New recruits?" Qin Yin was slightly startled. Her eyes were as clear as water as she looked at the map on the sand table. Could it be that Qin Yi has decided to give up on Long Lin? Who is in charge of the 100 Mountains City's main force, the 100 Mountains Cavalry? It is said that Ji Yao and Yi Xuanhuan are in charge together. "Is that so?" Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. Ji Yao is an idiot, yet he dares to command an army. Qin Yi is really muddle-headed to actually hand over his trump card army to Ji Yao. Xiang Yu stood up and walked to the side of the sand table. From the Iha Kingdom's deployment, they don't seem to have any defenses against the demon race. Instead, they are eyeing the Empire's Earth Star province covetously. It seems that the Iha Kingdom has most likely reached some kind of agreement with the demon race. Once we fight the demon race head-on, the Iha Kingdom will definitely take advantage of the situation to launch a sneak attack on the three passes and then head north to swallow up a large portion of our Earth Star province. How many soldiers are there in the Earth Star province? Lin Muyu asked. Less than 50,000. Tang Lan, who had been resting with her eyes closed, opened her eyes and said indifferently. Su Muyun muttered to himself, Your Highness, we must send a general with both civil and military skills to guard the three passes. Otherwise, if the three passes are lost, the Empire will fall into a passive position. Who should we send? Chapter 580. Tang Lan stood up and coughed violently. Tang Wei hurriedly supported him and said, Grandpa, are you all right? You're not feeling well. Why don't you go back and rest first? Tang Lan slowly pushed Tang Wei's hand away. His originally turbid eyes shone brightly as he said, Iha Nation's total military strength is around 900,000. From their current military deployment, we can see that they have 400,000 troops in Lingnan province and nearly 500,000 in Swift White province. Among them, Long Qianlin commands 200,000 and Ding Shi commands 300,000. There are only two people in Iha Nation that we fear. One is Long Qianlin and the other is Ding Shi. Both of them are famous generals with strategic minds. Now that both of them have appeared in Swift White province, the general we send must also be a famous general with good strategies. Otherwise, we will definitely lose. Qin Yin smiled faintly and said, Then, according to your Highness Seven Seas King, who is the most suitable to go? Tang Lan said, Among the famous generals of the Empire, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and Xiang Yu are the most proficient in the art of war. Commander Yu repeatedly comes up with unexpected strategies. General Feng is calm and steady, and Marquis Pingnan Xiang Yu is a godlike commander with outstanding courage. All three of them are suitable candidates. However, in terms of experience, Commander Yu has fought with Ding Shi and Long Qianlin many times and knows them very well. Therefore, this old official believes that Commander Yu is the most suitable candidate to defend the three passes. No, I refuse, Lin Muyu said indifferently. Why? Tang Lan was stunned. Lin Muyu's palm pressed lightly on the edge of the sand table and looked straight at Tang Lan. First, Ding Shi and Long Qianlin may not attack the Empire. After all, the demons are watching covetously. Iha Nation may not be able to reach any agreement with the demons. Second, as the Seven Seas King said, I have fought with Long Qianlin many times and understand his art of war. However, I have also fought with the demons Qianfeng many times and understand Qianfeng's military strategy. Therefore, I want to stay in Five Valleys City and fight with the demons. Qin Yin said, If that's the case, Commander, you can stay by my side. I need him to help me strategize from time to time. Tang Lan was taken aback. Then, how should we deal with the possible war in Planet Earth province? Qin Yin smiled faintly. Why don't we do it this way? General Feng will command 30,000 Imperial Guards, and then we'll allocate 70,000 soldiers from the Earth Star Province's army to support General Feng. The remaining 100,000 soldiers will guard the Earth Star Province. With the three passes, it should be enough to defend against the enemy. Feng Jixing took a deep breath and said, Your Highness, most of the defending generals in the Earthstar province are from the Tang family. I am worried that my prestige is not enough to deter them. Su Muyun stroked his beard and smiled. If that's the case, then I'll ask the Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, to accompany General Feng to the Swift White province. The Seven Seas King is the head of the Tang family. With a wave of his arm, he can command more than 10,000 people. Also, if General Feng is worried about not having enough soldiers, I'll have Su Yu lead another 50,000 Qin Dragon army and listen to General Feng's orders. How about that? Feng Jixing was taken aback. If that's the case, then that's even better. However, I don't know if Commander Su Yu is willing to listen to my orders. After all, she is your highness's concubine, and I, Feng Jixing, am only a bumpkin. What are you saying, General Feng? Su Yu giggled. You are the head of the previous emperor's wind, rain, thunder, and lightning generals. As long as Her Highness Yin issues an imperial edict, Su Yu will naturally obey General Feng's orders and serve the empire. Then let's do it this way. Qin Yi nodded. Receive my orders. Feng Jixing will lead 30,000 imperial guards to the Earthstar province immediately. Commander Su Yu will lead 50,000 Qin Dragon army as well. General Feng will be the commander-in-chief of the vanguard. The Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, will be the military governor. Remember, General Feng will make all the decisions on strategic matters. No one is allowed to interfere. Tang Lan and Su Yu cupped their fists at the same time. As you command. Qin Yin's orders were extremely clever. In order not to damage Tang Lan's reputation, she made him the military governor, but also gave Feng Jixing the power to act alone. This way, Tang Lan could be sent away from Cangnan province without affecting Feng Jixing's affairs on the Western Front. At night, after dinner, Feng Jixing and Su Yu were about to set off. Tang Lan was also hurriedly preparing the guards and so on. This time, most of the troops heading to the Earthstar province were Feng Jixing and Su Yu's forces. Tang Lan only brought 2,000 guards. Furthermore, the Empress had issued an edict, and Tang Lan could only carry it out. She handed over the 100,000 soldiers of Qihai City to Xiangyu. These 100,000 soldiers were the most experienced elite soldiers of Qihai City. Under the starlight, Lin Muyu and Wei Chou sent Feng Jixing and Su Yu off Wugu City and out of the city. You, don't send me off. Amidst the messy sound of horse hooves, Su Yu looked back and smiled. You stay here and take good care of Xiao Yin. At the same time, help me take good care of my king father. Do you understand? Don't worry, Aunt Lan. Lin Muyu smiled cheerfully. You also have to be careful. If you can defend, don't come out of seclusion to fight. Ding Shi and Long Qianlin are not easy to deal with. Brother Feng, you must not underestimate the enemy. Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh. Kid, you should think more about your own situation. The demons are coming in menacingly. This time, Qian Feng is almost certain to win. You must be careful. In addition, beware of Xiangyu. His last sentence was very meaningful. How could Lin Muyu not know? In that case, I won't send you off. Lin Muyu spurred her horse forward and raised her palm. Feng Jixing smiled knowingly. Both palms struck together. Lin Muyu said, Good brother, you must come back alive. Feng Jixing nodded. Watching Feng Jixing, Su Yu, and the others disappear into the night, Lin Muyu felt a sense of loss. Her elder brother, Feng Jixing, had always been protecting her. Now that Feng Jixing had left, it seemed that she could only rely on herself to defend the entire steel wall. There was a strong enemy like Qian Feng on the outside and a fierce general like Xiangyu on the inside. Moreover, Zheng Yifan was also there. The empire's god of war, Zheng Yifan, a famous general who was ranked among the Soaring Clouds Pavilion's meritorious officials, was a wolf. He was chased away from Lanyan City by Qin Jin. Now that he had returned, the wolf's return was either to repay a debt of gratitude or to take revenge. Now, Lin Muyu still couldn't tell whether Zheng Yifan had returned to repay a debt of gratitude or to take revenge. 3 days later, nearly 500,000 troops arrived at the steel wall. Lin Muyu led the 70,000 Dragon's Courage Legion to camp in the Unicorn Forest. Qin Yin's central tent was also set up within the Dragon's Courage Legion. The defense of the steel wall was handed over to the Marquis of Tranquil Sea, Yao Yuan, Su Long, Luo Xian, and the others. In the afternoon, the central tent was extremely gloomy. Everyone was silent. In the past 3 days, the demon army had already arrived at the east side of the steel wall, but they still didn't move. It was very puzzling. What are the demons thinking? Xiangyu asked with a frown. Who knows? Seducen said coldly. Lin Muyu stared at the map in the middle and said, It seems that Qian Feng doesn't plan to attack the steel wall. If he wanted to attack, he would have already advanced today. What is he thinking? At this time, a messenger flew in and said respectfully, Your Highness, The frontline military situation. Our scouts have found out that nearly 150,000 armor demons are slowly moving to the south of Tsangnan province. They are currently crossing the river. In addition, we have seen many Wing tribe members circling in the sky to investigate our military situation. However, they are flying too high for our arrows to reach. Understood. Continue to investigate. Yes. Lin Muyu stood up and slowly moved her hand on the map. She suddenly pointed to the south of the river and asked, "Where is this place?" "It is not marked on the map." Su Jiantao cupped his fists and said, "Reporting to Commander, this is a mountainous area. It is rugged and difficult to traverse. Even hunters rarely pass through here. Therefore, it is tacitly recognized as a hindrance on the map." "What if it is the armor demons?" Lin Muyu said, "With the strength of the armor demons, can they cross this mountain range?" Xiang Yu's eyes turned cold. "Commander Yu, are you suspecting that the demons will attack from the mountain range?" "Yes, the demons are different from us. They don't have too many supplies. As long as the armor demons attack with their blades and shields, they can form a strong fighting force. I suspect that they don't want to attack the steel wall at all. Instead, they want to go around the steel wall and fight us at the edge of the unicorn forest. If that's the case, the steel wall we spent 500 million gold coins on will be useless." With that, Lin Muyu pointed to a location on the map and asked, "What is this valley called?" "Songlin Valley." Su Jiantao said in a deep voice, "It's a valley full of white leaf trees. The terrain of Songlin Valley is very complex and open. To the north of Songlin Valley is Daojiang, and to the south is Qinling Mountains. It's less than 20 miles away from the Sword Garret Fortress guarded by the Iha Kingdom. If we choose to fight the demons in Songlin Valley, the cavalry of the Iha Kingdom in Sword Garret can arrive in an hour." Xiang Yu's face turned pale. "It can't really beat Songlin Valley, right?" "That's right." Lin Muyu's fingers lightly stroked the map as she said, "Your Highness, we must immediately send troops to Songlin Valley and guard the valley entrance. We cannot let the demons march straight in. Otherwise, if 300,000 demons were to attack the plains at the same time, even the gods would be unable to save us." "Yes." Qin Yin said, "Send 300,000 soldiers to guard the Songlin Valley. Construct the strategic fortifications. Xiang Yu's army will lead the way, the Iron Blade Army in the center, Su Long's army in the north, the Godly Might Army in the south, and the Valiant Dragon Army in the rear. Move out immediately." Inside the Qihai city camp, a group of people cursed after learning of the situation. "What does Your Highness mean by having our Qihai city army in the center? Do you want us to be cannon fodder? Damn it, why is the Longdan army camp in the rear? Aren't they called the strongest army of the empire? Why is the strongest army in the empire in the back? We don't accept this. Your Highness is too biased towards Lin Muyu. This is unfair. Marquis Jun, how can you swallow your anger?" Facing the indignant generals, Xiang Yu sneered, "You are soldiers of the empire. Just follow orders. Plus, do you really think we are cannon fodder just because we are in the front? Just wait and see." Chapter 581. Rumble. The iron gate of the 7 custom gates slowly rose. After 5 days of bitter waiting, Tang Xiaoxi finally opened the gate. Outside the gate, nearly 20,000 soldiers of the National Guardian Army were waiting in formation. Tang Jin raised his hand and said, "Blade and shield formation, prepare to defend. Archers and arrow boxes, hold the line. No one is to panic." The sound of ropes twisting the arrow boxes could be heard. A battle was about to begin. "Your Highness." The saintess of the demon race, Linghu Yen, dressed in a red dress, rode her horse to the side of Tang Xiaoxi and said respectfully, "The warriors of the demon race are ready. As long as the 7 Seas City Army inside the gate shows any disobedience, our Fox Clan Iron Cavalry will cooperate with the National Guardian Army to kill them. No matter how many of them come, they will all die." Sporadic snowflakes fell from the sky. Tang Xiaoxi's delicate face had a trace of worry and said, "Don't act rashly. The people inside the gate are all soldiers of my Tang clan. Don't make a move unless it's absolutely necessary. Let me go and say my farewells first. Tang Zhen also cupped his fists from afar. At this moment, the sound of hooves could be heard from inside the fortress. A row of Seven Seas City cavalry carrying the Purple Flower Empire's war flag rushed out. The person at the front was wearing a golden armor and looked very familiar. It was Lu Zhong. His two sons were also wearing armor and followed closely behind him. Hundreds of cavalry came out in a line, and in the blink of an eye, they lined up in front of Tang Xiaoxi. Shoot at the foot of the formation. Tang Zhen ordered loudly. Among the National Guardian Army, a divine archer drew his bow and shot a sharp arrow into the distance. But the arrow hit the ground and the feathers trembled. Immediately, Lu Zhong's cavalry stopped moving forward. If they took another step forward, it would mean the start of a battle. This might not be a good thing for anyone. Lu Zhong spurred his horse forward and cupped his fists from afar. Subordinate Lu Zhong greets Fu Guojunju. With her amazing cultivation, Tang Xiaoxi was naturally not afraid of Lu Zhong. She led Tang Zhen and Ling Hu Yen to the front and said, "Uncle Tianji, what has happened in the Seven Seas province? Why can't all the divine halls be contacted? Why hasn't there been a single reply from the Empress Palace? Is the Seven Seas province really going to change its banner?" "Princess Shi, you've misunderstood." Lu Zhong raised his arm and pointed at the purple flower emblem on his collar. "Princess Shi, we're still soldiers of the Empire, and we definitely won't have any thoughts of betrayal. The reason why we haven't contacted Lanyan City is because the Seven Seas province has been snowing for an entire month. The snow has blocked all the roads, causing messenger birds to be unable to fly. I hope Princess Shi will understand." "Oh, I see," Tang Xiaoxi sneered in her heart. The Seven Seas province wasn't like Cloud Province and Heaven's Pivot Province with undulating mountains. More than 70% of the land in the Seven Seas province was plains. This was also the biggest reason why the Seven Seas province was so rich. No matter how heavy the snow on the plains was, it was impossible for the roads to be blocked. At least, Tang Xiaoxi hadn't heard of such a thing in the past 20 years. However, she didn't expose him. She just smiled and said, "Uncle Tianji, how many Tang clan troops are there in the north of the Seven Seas province?" Lu Zhong hesitated. "But can't you tell me?" Tang Xiaoxi raised her eyebrows and revealed a trace of displeasure. "No, Princess Shi, you've misunderstood." Lu Zhong cupped his fists and said, "It's just that Lu Zhong's status is low, and I can only control 100,000 troops under my command. Therefore, I dare not speak about the military affairs of the Seven Seas City. I think Princess Shi should wait for the real owner of the Seven Seas City to come before asking." The real owner of the Seven Seas City? Tang Xiaoxi felt a wave of irritation in her heart. She said, "Lu Zhong, am I not the real owner of the Seven Seas City? Don't forget that you're a soldier of the Empire. You must obey your superiors. My title and military rank are many times higher than yours. If you continue to shirk the responsibility, I'll attack the wall." "Attack the wall?" Lu Zhong couldn't help but laugh. He looked at the campsite of the Kingdom Guarding Army and the Demon Clan Army and said with a smile, "Princess, she has brought less than 50,000 troops. I'm afraid you won't be able to do anything to the sturdy Seven Seas City. Moreover, Princess, she doesn't even know how many Tang clan troops there are in the Seven Seas City. Wouldn't it hurt the Seven Seas King if you make such a big fuss? Cut the crap. When will the owner of the Seven Seas City come to see me?" "Very soon. Please wait for a while, Princess." Tang Xiaoxi was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down. The national suppressing whip in her hand was even faintly glowing with flames. If the people in the Seven Seas City didn't come out after a while, she might really start a massacre. In less than 30 minutes, a large number of troops came out of the Seven Seas City. The 8 gates opened at the same time, and tens of thousands of troops poured out. Most of them were spearmen and shield troops. After all, there were very few pastures in the Seven Seas City, so there were very few cavalrymen. In terms of the number of cavalrymen, the Seven Seas City was far less than the Sunset Rain City and the Lanyan City. Just when Tang Xiaoxi's patience was about to run out, a group of guards in golden armor came out of the fortress on horseback and surrounded a carriage with a canopy. Such a grand display must be the real owner. Tang Xiaoxi wasn't afraid. Not to mention we have the Seven Seas Pass, so there's utterly no need to go to war with them in the wilderness. What do you mean? Peh. Lu Zhong's eyes were filled with cunning as he said, the devil race has mobilized an entire 500,000 troops this time. How could Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and the others possibly resist them? Not to mention that the Iha kingdom is ready to make a move, and Qin Yi has always had the intention of establishing hegemony and wholeheartedly wants to retake the North Ridge. So, Qin Yi will surely be unable to pass this hurdle. Once the front lines fail, then Tang Xiaoxi will surely dispatch the demon race's troops to reinforce Qin Yi. Coupled with Su Muyun's always harboring ulterior motives, we just have to wait, and we'll be able to wait for a situation where the world is divided into 5. Tang Lu couldn't help but roar with laughter. I have Count Tianji, it's truly like adding wings to a tiger. Chapter 582. To the east of Tsang Lin Valley, the mountain range stretched for dozens of miles. The mountain path was extremely steep, and even the hunters who lived in the mountains for a long time did not dare to climb it easily. However, a group of thick-skinned armor demons had already appeared among the thorns. They waved their battle axes to clear a path, and the thousands of armor demons on the top of a small hill were all cut down in the blink of an eye. Whoosh whoosh, the sound of flapping wings came from the sky. It was the air transport army formed by the winged people. The winged people were thin and weak. Only the wings on their backs were very powerful, and their chests and abdomens were very thin. A winged people could only carry less than 15 kilograms, but 7 or 8 winged people in the air each had a rope tied to their legs. Together, they pulled a high-level demon over the mountain range, and more winged people appeared in the air. The Qianfeng army and the Thunder Rush army had a total of 70,000 winged people. It seemed that Qianfeng had taken a fancy to such a powerful air transport force. Not long after, the neighing of warhorses could be heard in the air. Some armor and weapons were also transported up by the winged people. A figure climbed up the cliff like a ghost and came to the mountain range as if he was walking on flat ground. A white cloak fluttered behind him, and his battle boots stepped on the fallen leaves as he walked west. It was Qianfeng. His eyes were filled with coldness as he looked straight at Tsang Lin Valley in the west. That was where his greatest enemy was stationed. In the forest, the high-level demons who had been dropped by the winged people all knelt down and cupped their fists. Greetings, Marshal. Rise. Qianfeng's gaze was unwavering as he looked to the west. How far are we from the Empire's army? In the crowd, Lian Xiao raised his head and said calmly, reporting to Marshal, Tsang Lin Valley is a rectangular valley. It is about 20 kilometers long and 5 kilometers wide. The army of the human empire is on the open land outside of the valley. According to the intelligence sent by the winged people, they have at least 300,000 soldiers gathered in the west of Tsang Lin Valley, waiting for us. 300,000? Qianfeng frowned and said, how many armor demons have entered Tsang Lin Valley? Less than 100,000. Order them to speed up the delivery. Pass down my order, occupy the mountain ranges on both sides of the Tsang Lin Valley and occupy the high ground. Once the humans launch an attack, we will attack from the mountain ranges on both sides. No matter how many people they have, they will all die. Yes. Lian Zhao nodded heavily, but then asked, Marshal, we have occupied the high ground, and the season has just warmed up. Once the humans attack with fire, the forest will catch fire, and I'm afraid we will lose. Don't worry. The snow on the ground is melting. The fire won't start in at least 5 days. However, within 5 days, our army of armored demons will be able to flatten the humans' position. Order the flying snakes to stay in the eastern valley. Don't act rashly until I give the order. Yes. On the west side of the Zhonglin Valley, the empire's war flags fluttered in the wind. Xiang Yu's army was the vanguard. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses had blocked off the entire west exit of the Zhonglin Valley. Everyone was busy digging traps, setting up antlers and other defensive structures. Xiang Yu carried his long spear and walked among the crowd, his brows furrowed. The group of Tang family soldiers behind him did not look too good. Military intelligence had arrived in the morning. The demonic tribe had appeared in the Zhonglin Valley. This battle was imminent. In the history of the empire, no army had ever won a head-on battle with the demonic tribe. Might look over there. A captaincy suddenly pointed at the forest in the distance. There, a group of people nimbly traversed through the forest, as if the difficult terrain did not hinder them. Moreover, this group of generals all wore the golden dragon insignia of the Longdan army camp, reflecting dazzling light under the sun. Is that Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and the others? Xiang Yu asked. What are they doing there? Probably to survey the terrain. Interesting, Xiang Yu smiled slightly. Is the black beach oil ready on the two sides of the mountain? As long as the demonic tribe dares to station their troops on the high ground, I guarantee that even their mothers won't recognize them. That's good. In the forest, Lin Muyu led a dozen or so Longdan army camp generals of high cultivation to survey the terrain. Everyone leaped, bent, or climbed in the forest like agile apes. Not long after, they could see the figures of the armor demons in the valley in the distance. Swoosh! Lin Muyu leaped and landed on a huge rock that was several meters high. Looking into the distance, she frowned and said, Is Qianfeng really planning to fight the Empire's army in the Zhonglin Valley? What's wrong, Your Excellency? Isn't this normal? Wei Chou asked. Lin Muyu said, It's true that we are no match for the demonic tribe in terms of positional warfare, but who do you think Xiang Yu is? I'm sure he has already prepared a trap. Even if Qianfeng can defeat Xiang Yu's army, I'm afraid he will suffer heavy losses. The Qianfeng I know would never do such a stupid thing. Situ Sin gripped his long sword tightly and said, Your Excellency, we are bringing up the rear anyway. There's no need to survey the terrain. It's best if Xiang Yu's army is defeated. In any case, his troops are all Tang Lan's trusted subordinates. We won't feel bad at all. With Xiang Yu's defeat, we are destined to suffer a crushing defeat from the demonic tribe. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, How are the preparations for our demonic crystal cannons? They have all gone ashore and hidden in the dense forest. They won't be discovered for the time being. Order them to be on standby and await orders. Yes. When night fell at the pass of Sword Pavilion, the dozens of meter-tall walls of the fortress looked extremely majestic. The armored soldiers were like a forest, and the flag of the Iha Empire fluttered in the wind. On a small path to the north of Sword Pavilion, a man in a gray robe rode over. The warhorse he was riding was extremely handsome and had streaks of green fur on its body. It didn't look like a warhorse of the Central Plains. He came straight to the fortress before stopping his warhorse. He raised his head and said, Sir, on the wall, please inform Marshal Ji Yao that an old friend has come to visit. On the wall, one of the guards couldn't help but laugh. Just anyone dares to come and ask to see our marshal? You should go. The marshal is busy with military affairs and has no time to see an idle person like you. The man below the wall laughed and suddenly raised his hand. A shining object flew through the wind and shot into the stone wall beside the general with a clang. Half of it was exposed outside. It was a magic crystal coin. If he had wanted to kill the general, he would have been a corpse by now. Sir, this is a greeting gift. Please pass on the message for me. This. The general took out the magic crystal coin with lingering fear. He knew that the only place that used magic crystal coins on the continent was the demon race. Not long after, the gate of the fortress opened and the visitor was welcomed in. He had been hiding his face under the cloak the whole time and just followed the soldier into Ji Yao's residence. The candlelight on the wall reflected a faint bloody light. Ji Yao raised one hand and said, You can all leave. I want to talk to the honored guest alone. Yes, Marshal. After everyone left, the gray robe lifted his cloak and revealed an extremely handsome face. It was Qianfeng, He cupped his fists and smiled. Qianfeng of the celestial race greets Marshal Ji Yao. Marshal Qianfeng is too courteous. Ji Yao stood up, clasped his hands and bowed. I wonder what brings you here today, General Qianfeng? Qianfeng said, I have an agreement with Marshal Ji Yao to divide the territory of the Qin dynasty. What do you mean? The celestial race is about to fight with the Empire. Although we can defeat the Empire with our army, we will also suffer great losses. So, Qianfeng's lips curled up, so I boldly ask for Marshal's help. 3 days later, the celestial race will launch an attack in Songlin Valley. As long as Marshal sends 100,000 people out of Sword Pavilion to attack the flank of the Empire's army from the south of Songlin Valley, we will definitely defeat the Empire's army. At that time, the celestial race will take Heaven's Pivot Province and the rich Songnan Province will be given to Marshal. What do you think? The celestial race is really willing to form an alliance with Iha Nation. Ji Yao suppressed his excitement. Why not? Qianfeng smiled. A gentleman's word is as good as a whip on a fast horse. As long as Marshal Ji Yao gives the word, the celestial race will launch an attack in 3 days. It will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as Marshal sends the troops, you will be able to establish an immortal merit. I, Qianfeng, hereby swear that the celestial race will not offend your army in this battle. You can chase the Empire's army to your heart's content. Ji Yao took a deep breath and said, If that's the case, thank you, Marshal Qianfeng. Let's drink and chat merrily after we destroy the Empire. I will dismount and go back to arrange the battle. Yes, forgive me for not seeing you off. As soon as Qianfeng left, 2 people walked out from a dark corner of the room. One was Yi Xuanhuan, the other was Qin Huan. The demon race is vicious. Making a deal with the demon race is like asking a tiger for its skin. Qin Huan clenched his fists and said, Perhaps Qianfeng has already forgotten how he massacred hundreds of thousands of Iha Nation citizens under the steel walls. Yi Xuanhuan smiled. Marshal Ji doesn't really believe Qianfeng, right? Ji Yao smiled. How could that be? Just as His Highness said, making a deal with the demon race is like asking a tiger for its skin. No matter what Qianfeng says, we will bide our time. It won't be too late to attack when a heaven-sent opportunity appears. Qin Huan said, This matter is up to Marshal Ji. I believe that Imperial Father's judgment in appointing you as Marshal is not wrong. All right, will Divine Monarch Hua Wu fight with us? Yes, this is what she has promised. Yes, that's for the best. Prepare all the heavenly book embryos, Divine Monarch Hua Wu's power, and our hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Once we come out of seclusion, it will be the end of the Empire. He. Ji Yao's face was full of pride as he said, It's best if we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, destroying the Empire and injuring the demon race at the same time. At that time, we will unify the continent's 12 provinces and rebuild the glorious Empire. Everyone will be collectively known as the Empire, and His Highness will be the true heir. Qin Huan also smiled. Imperial Father will not neglect Marshal Ji and will definitely not omit the matter of conferring the title of king. Come, let's have a drink first. Chapter 583. At dusk the next day, the last golden rays of the setting sun shone on the pillars of the main hall of Bailing City, reflecting rays of golden light. In the main hall, a group of officials stood in great numbers, and the commander-in-chief, Qin Yi, wore a golden dragon robe and sat on the throne. During the Iha Nation's uprising, Qin Yi raised the banner of all living beings are equal and people are benevolent. Now, his health was deteriorating day by day, and his desire to ascend to the throne was growing stronger. Commander-in-chief, an envoy from the Empire, an attendant said loudly. An envoy from the Empire? Qin Yi frowned and said, Send it in. Not long after, a woman walked in. It was Qin Yin's personal female official, Shangguan Jingyue. Shangguan Jingyue's figure was graceful, and she leisurely walked forward. After giving Qin Yi the etiquette of an empire's lady, she said, Commander-in-Chief Qin Yi, This is a letter written by Her Majesty the Empress herself. It's a letter to your family. Bring it up, Qin Yi said without looking sideways. The attendant presented Qin Yin's letter to Qin Yi. Qin Yi opened the letter, and lines of beautiful handwriting came into view. Qin Yin's calligraphy was passed down from Qin Jin, and could be said to be the best in the empire. However, Qin Yi hated these lines of beautiful handwriting. Only when he saw these words did he finally calm down a little. Uncle, Qin Yin respectfully sends her regards. Now that the demon race has made a comeback and swept across Zhongnan with an army of 500,000, the demon emperor, with Qianfeng and Lei Chong as his commanders, is determined to obtain the Central Plains. The empire and the Iha nation are interdependent, and I hope that uncle can let bygones be bygones, dispatch troops to the Sword Pavilion, and join the army of the empire to annihilate the demon race, Qin Yin. Haha. Qin Yi couldn't help laughing, and his eyes were cold. He looked at Shangguan Jingyue and said, Your empress has famous generals like Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xiang Yu under her command. She can expel the demon race with one hand, so why does she need the help of the Iha nation? Shangguan Jingyue said respectfully, Commander-in-Chief, the demon race is powerful and cannot be resisted by a nation. Her Majesty said that as long as you are willing to dispatch troops to assist the empire and the demon race retreats, Her Majesty is willing to cede Lingdong Province and Tongtian Province to the Iha nation. Qin Yin, does this little girl think I'm stupid? Qin Yi narrowed his eyes and smiled. These two provinces are meat in the mouths of the demon race. No one can eat them. Rather than giving such insincere conditions, why don't we change the conditions of the alliance? Oh? What does the Iha nation want? Qin Yi said, I can send troops from the Iha nation, but their military strength is very limited. Furthermore, they are in dire need of soldiers. How about this? The Iha nation sends 200,000 troops, and the empire must give me 1 billion Jinin coins, plus the 4 southern prefectures of Zhongnan province. How about it? If Qin Yin is willing to agree, you can sign the credence. Someone, draft the credence. Yes. The so-called credence was a letter of negotiation between nations. Once it was signed, it couldn't be violated. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the credibility of the nation. Shangguan Jingyue stood there quietly like a fairy. Not long after, an official came to Shangguan Jingyue with 2 scrolls of credence and said with a smile, Madam Envoy, please sign it. As long as you sign it, the Commander-in-Chief will definitely send troops. Shangguan Jingyue looked up at Qin Yi and said, The empire and the Iha nation are interdependent. I hope that the Commander-in-Chief will consider the big picture and fulfill his promise. Don't let Her Majesty down. Don't worry. Thus, Shangguan Jingyue signed it. Qin Yi also waved his brush and kept one of the credence for the national treasury. He gave the other to Shangguan Jingyue and said, Go back and tell Qin Yin that I will immediately send a letter to Marshal Ji Yao. He will naturally act according to the circumstances. Yes, then this little girl will take her leave. Shangguan Jingyue slowly left the hall. When she came outside, a few imperial attendants came forward and said, Madam, has the Prince of Zhennan already agreed to send troops? Shangguan Jingyue smiled faintly and said, What a good acting according to the circumstances. Let's go, His Highness is still waiting for our news. Acting according to the circumstances? In the Longdan army camp, Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. I'm afraid that this uncle of mine won't tell anyone the truth, right? To put it nicely, it's acting according to the circumstances. To put it bluntly, I'm afraid that he doesn't want us to have any chance of winning the battle with the demon race. He still wants the empire to give them 1 billion Jinin coins. It's simply wishful thinking. At the side, Lin Muyu said, the troops of the demon race are increasing in Songlin Valley. The battle will definitely start within 3 days. I wonder how the preparations of the front, middle, left and right armies are going? Qin Yin looked up. The group of generals were solemn. Xiang Yu cupped his fists and said, Reporting to your highness, the front army of 150,000 soldiers is ready for battle. We have dug nearly 3 miles of pits. As long as the demon race comes, We can use the pits to kill 20,000 armor demons. We have also prepared black beech oil and arrow boxes. This time, we are well prepared. Even if the demon race army comes, we have a good chance of winning. Luo Xian had already been appointed as the commander of the Iron Blade army by Su Muyun. He also cupped his fists and said, "The Iron Blade army has 100,000 elite soldiers guarding the middle army. Your Highness, please rest assured." Following that, Su Long also indicated that the preparations were complete. On the contrary, Zheng Yifan was leisurely drinking his tea with a faint smile on his aged face. He said, "There are thousands of winged people hovering above the Empire's army. I'm afraid our every move is under their observation. Since we have made so many preparations, Qian Feng is not a fool. He will not take the initiative to enter our pit. General Xiang, you should make preparations in advance to fight in the wilderness. Choose the battlefield and set up the army formation. This way, you still have a chance of winning." Xiang Yu nodded. "Yes, thank you for your advice, Divine Marquis. I will." Everyone was silent for a while. Lin Muyu asked, "Has there been any news from Shaoxi? Where are the troops of the Seven Seas City? How many troops do they have?" Shangguan Jingyue said, "Princess Xi's letter arrived in the afternoon. The Seven Seas City's troops have all been dispatched. There are more than 300,000 of them. However, they refused to go to Tsangnan province. They said that unless they see the letter from the Seven Seas King, Tanglan, they can only guard the Seven Seas Pass. They actually dare to disobey His Highness's orders?" Su Muyun suddenly stood up and said without anger, "Are the people of the Seven Seas City rebelling?" Qinin smiled. "Grandfather, don't be angry. I believe they don't mean that. It's just that Tang Lu is in the Seven Seas Pass and has the Tang Sect's Iron Order. In addition to his special status, I'm afraid that the Seven Seas army will not listen to his orders." Lin Muyu said coldly, "Wait until we finish fighting the demon race, then we'll take care of them." At the side, Xiang Yu's expression was somewhat ugly. After all, he was the son-in-law of the Tang clan. Qin Yin asked again, "Is there any news from General Feng?" "They just arrived at Black Pine Pass not long ago. They are currently arranging the garrison," Su Yun said. That's good." The bright moon shone on the icy Qinling Mountains as a cold wind howled past Ink Pine Pass. Although it was already spring, the nights at Ink Pine Pass were unusually cold. The fortress could only hold 50,000 men at most, and the rest had to be stationed outside the pass. As a result, the Zither Dragon Army, Imperial Army, and Tang Shi's army set up camp to the north of Ink Pine Pass. Their banners flying for dozens of li snow continued to fall on Black Pine Pass. When it landed on one's skin, it was indescribably cold. Feng Jixing gently rubbed his palms to warm himself up. Su Yu, who was beside him, used a coarse crystal telescope to look into the distance. She saw the lights in the direction of Fiery Moon City, and Long Qianlin's barracks stretched as far as the eye could see. They were too close to Black Pine Pass, so much so that they could reach Black Pine Pass in just 4 hours. "We only have a few 100,000 troops." Su'er pouted and said, "Long Qianlin and Ding Shi have nearly 500,000 soldiers in total. If the two of them want to attack Ink Pine Pass, can we really stop them?" Feng Jixing's king's battle flames surged around his palms to warm himself. He smiled and said, "Long Qianlin and Ding Shi should also understand that if the lips are gone, the teeth will be interdependent. Once the demon race attacks, the Iha country will not be able to stay out of it. They will not attack first. Even if they do, Black Pine Pass is so strong that they will not be able to take it in a short time." Su Yu looked into the distance. "We can only do this. I hope the battle with Xiao Yin will go smoothly. Don't worry. With you helping her, even if they cannot win, they will not lose miserably." At this time, Tang Shi, who was clad in crimson armor, walked up to the top of the fortress and said with a smile, "Commander Feng, Commander Su, the rations and armaments have all been prepared. It's enough for us to stay here for more than 2 months. Commander Tang Shi, thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. It's my duty." Duklon. "Oh no, His Highness the Seven Seas King is already resting. You two should also rest early, right? Feng Jixing took another deep look at the vague shadows of fiery Moon City in the night. His brows gradually furrowed. Deep in his heart, he believed that Ding Shi and Long Qianlin wouldn't advance, but he had a premonition that Ding Shi and Long Qianlin would definitely not let go of such a great opportunity to retake the 3 passes of Qinling Mountains. Tuck, tuck, tuck. A group of light cavalry galloped straight into fiery Moon City under the moonlight. The general at the front wore 3 gold stars on his collar. It was Ding Shi, one of the 7 marshals of the Iha country. Marshal Ding Shi has arrived. The guard shouted. On top of the city wall, a man leaped down. To him, the 15-meter-tall city wall seemed like child's play. His feet stepped on a vortex of battle chi as he floated down to the ground, completely unharmed. It was Long Qianlin, who was inspecting the military situation outside the city. He stepped forward and smiled. Marshal Ding Shi, why have you come so late at night? Ding Shi's expression was ashen. Marshal Long, this general has brought a personal letter from the commander-in-chief. It's for the 2 of us. Oh? What news does the commander-in-chief have? He ordered me to attack Ink Pine Pass on the 1st of February. I must retake the 3 passes within 15 days and then send troops north to conquer the entire Earth Star province within 10 days. What? Long Qianlin was astonished. Did I hear wrongly? We're going to declare war on the Empire when the demonic army is invading. Ding Shi slapped the letter into his hand. The commander-in-chief's letter is here. Do as you see fit. The 1st of February is tomorrow, and we don't have much time. If we decide to go to war tomorrow, we must assemble the rations and armaments by tonight. Long Qianlin frowned. We just received a report that Ink Pine Pass is garrisoned with close to 180,000 men under Feng Jixing's command. I'm afraid it won't be easy to take the 3 passes from Feng Jixing's hands, will it? Ding Shi smiled with a hint of mockery. Marshal Ding, what do you mean by this? What are you smiling about? Long Qianlin's heart was pounding. Ding Shi drank a mouthful of wine from his water skin and glanced at him. Who are you, Long Qianlin? Is there anyone in the Iha country who knows how to use troops better than you? No matter how powerful Feng Jixing is, he can only guard 1 pass because he can't split himself. As for the other 2, you don't need me to remind you, do you? Long Qianlin laughed. Marshal Ding lives up to his reputation. Chapter 584. Wazile. Pan-toad. In the jungle of Tsonglin Valley came the unknown sounds of armor demons. Humans could not understand the sounds of armor demons, even many advanced demons could not understand the sounds of armor demons. After all, this kind of fierce beast was a real monster hatched from worm nests. Their innate language could not be easily understood by other races. In the east of a cliff covered with moss, dense armor demons were chopping trees with blunt weapons. As a result, trees were chopped off one after another and fell down. In the bamboo woods not far away, many armor demons were chopping bamboo woods. These bamboos had been growing in the deep mountains for many years. The diameter of the bamboo pipes was almost 30 centimeters thick and very tough. Pan-toad. An armored demon wearing the emblem of Chiliarch raised his spear and exclaimed loudly as he stepped forward and kicked the butt of a slower armored demon. That armored demon fell to the ground as he turned around and roared furiously. Unexpectedly, the Chiliarch also opened his bloody mouth and roared, releasing a strong bloody smell. In a split second, that young armored demon was scared out of his wits and dared not resist anymore. It seemed that in the world of armored demons, the one with the louder voice was the most powerful one. What a bunch of idiots. On a rock dozens of meters away, Qian Feng was supervising the work with a group of high-level demons. On one side, Lei Chong was also standing with some captaincy-level armor demons with his battle hammer. After hearing Qian Feng's words, Lei Chong was a bit displeased. He turned around and said in a non-standard language of Broken Cauldron Realm, Marshal Qian Feng, armor demons are working very hard. Don't tease them anymore. Don't forget that the Armor Demon Corps is the forerunner of the God Clan's attack. If we unify the continent, The Armor Demon Corps will make a great contribution. Smiling, Qianfeng cupped his fists and said, I'm sorry, General Lei Chong. I didn't mean to disrespect you. However, the intelligence of the armor demons is indeed very low. There are very few generals like General Lei Chong who are good at both the pen and the sword. Lei Chong felt embarrassed to be angry. He said in a hoarse voice, Marshal, can you tell me why you ordered the soldiers to cut down the woods? His Majesty has ordered us to fight the enemies side by side. You shouldn't hide it from me. Well, Qianfeng thought for a moment and said, the giant trees on the east side of Lin Valley are all over 100 years old. They are tens of meters long and are extremely sturdy. I plan to use these giant trees to avoid the traps dug by the humans. After all, the humans are too cunning. There is no way they wouldn't set up an ambush along our route. What about the bamboo? I haven't thought about it yet. If Marshal Lei Chong is free, please dispatch another armored demon army to collect the weeds in the valley for me. I need them. Lei Chong was confused. Marshal, I can understand using trees to block the humans' traps, but what's the use of weeds? Do you think we can use weeds to destroy the Empire's army? Qianfeng groaned inwardly. He didn't want to reveal military secrets, but Lei Chong's status was too high. He had to find a way to fool him. So he smiled and said, recently, some armor demons have become vegetarians. They don't eat meat, they eat grass. I'll do it right away. Lei Chong felt relieved. He turned around and walked only a few steps before he felt that something was wrong. However, he simply ignored it. Before leaving, the versatile demon emperor had ordered him to fight side by side with Qianfeng this time. He only needed to be the vanguard and should not intervene in the strategy. In fact, Lei Chong despised Qianfeng, who was full of evil tricks, very much. He thought that Qianfeng was so bad that he didn't deserve to be a member of the Protoss. Therefore, in the valley on the east side of Lin Valley, tens of thousands of armor demons worked in full swing. The trees and bamboo groves were razed to the ground in a blink of an eye. The branches and leaves of the giant trees were cut off and piled up in the demon camp. All the bamboos were sent to the camp of the advanced demons for processing. In the blink of an eye, it was already afternoon. The warm sun of early spring shone on the earth, giving people a sense of laziness. As a result, many patrolling soldiers outside the imperial camp fell asleep on the rocks with their spears in their arms. They were too tired. Many of them had run all the way from Lanyan City to Lin Valley on their own feet. They were already exhausted. Outside the central tent, a group of soldiers stood guard. There were people from the Valiant Dragon Army, the Steel Blade Army, and the Godmight Battalion. Inside the tent, purple smoke slowly rose from the incense burner and lingered in the tent for a long time. Beside the huge sand table, Lin Muyu and Xiang Yu stood facing each other, while Su Muyun, Zhen Yifan, and the other veteran generals sat at the side. Empress Qin Yin was dressed in a well-ironed female military uniform of the Empire with a golden cloak behind her. She looked at the crowd and said, "It's been 3 days, and there hasn't been any movement from the demons. What are they thinking?" "It's not that there hasn't been any movement," Lin Muyu replied. "Oh." Lin Muyu pointed to the east side of Lin Valley on the map and said, "The spies of the Longdan army camp have obtained the latest military intelligence. Lei Chong and Qianfeng are leading the Armor Demon Legion to cut down the forest in this location." "Cutting down the forest?" Xiang Yu frowned and said, "They must be crazy. Why are they cutting down the forest? Don't tell me they want to build a complete camp in Lin Valley? I don't think so." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Qianfeng never does meaningless things, and it's the same this time. In addition, we also found out that the demons are collecting bamboo and weeds." "Bamboo and weeds?" Zheng Yifan frowned and said, "What does Qianfeng want to do with bamboo and weeds?" "I don't know." Lin Muyu shook her head and said, "This time, I really can't guess Qianfeng's thoughts. Perhaps Qianfeng plans to use trees, bamboo, and weeds to win by surprise?" Zheng Yifan narrowed his eyes and said, "Whether it's trees, bamboo, or weeds, they are all flammable things. In that case, as the vanguard, Lord Xiang, you should prepare more materials to ignite the fire. In addition, provide the soldiers with water to extinguish the fire, and be ready to attack with fire at any time to deal with Qianfeng's strategy. Xiang Yu nodded and said, "Yes, thank you for your advice." Qi Nin said, "When do you think the demons will attack?" Xiang Yu smiled and said, "Songlin Valley has already gathered nearly 200,000 demon troops. Among them, the armor demons are the main force. The rest of the 300,000 troops are mostly distributed in the east of Tsangnan Province and Lingdong Province. It seems that Qianfeng only plans to use 200,000 troops to fight us. As soon as they are prepared, the war will begin." Su Muyun said with the spear in his hand, "The armor demons are brave and can fight against 10. Even if they only have 200,000 troops, they can easily defeat our 300,000 troops in a field battle. Of course, the premise is that we don't use any tricks." Qin Yin smiled and said, "Grandfather, do you have any plans?" Su Muyun shook his head and said, "My only hope is that Qin Yi will really send out his troops. The Iha nation's army will leave Sword Pavilion and attack the demons' rear. This way, no matter how strong the demons are, they will definitely suffer heavy losses." "Yes, grandfather is right." Qin Yi nodded and said, "I also hope so, but this hope is too slim. How could Qin Yi, that old fox, let his trump card troops participate in this unnecessary war?" At the side, Xiang Yu cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, please rest assured. This subordinate will definitely defend the position well. No matter how strong the demons are, we will not give in an inch." Marquis Pingnan has worked hard. Sidusan could not help but laugh and said in a low voice, "It's a pity that Xiang Yu's title is Marquis Pingnan and not Marquis Anong. Otherwise, we might really be able to win this war." Lin Muyu glared at him, indicating that he should not speak carelessly. After the afternoon meeting was dismissed, Lin Muyu returned to her camp. Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui, and Feng Shi followed her in. "Lord Commander." Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, "According to my observations, the demon clan's camp has already accumulated a large number of trees. These trees are dozens of meters long and should be used to fill the pit dug by Xiang Yu. The supplies are already sufficient, and the demon clan's large-scale attack will only take a day or two. We should make arrangements early. This is the reason why I called you all over." Lin Muyu spread out the map on the table and said, "The terrain outside of Songlin Valley is very rugged and not conducive to retreat. Wei Chou, you have brought people to investigate. Does this terrain have a name?" "There is no name. This valley is mostly made up of rocks and there is little soil. It is impossible to grow crops, so the locals do not come here at all. At most, it is a few hunters who come here to hunt. Why, has the commander taken a fancy to this land?" "Yes." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "There are two ways to retreat from Songlin Valley. One is the main road, going straight to the Unicorn Forest, and the other is this unknown valley. Wei Chou, you make the arrangements. You must set up our 100 magic crystal cannons on both sides of this valley within 3 days." On the other hand, Sidu Shui, who was standing to the side, was taken aback for a moment, her beautiful eyes filled with doubt. "Commander, this valley is at least 20 kilometers away from the Songlin Valley. If we set up the magic crystal cannons here, may I ask what use they have?" Sidusan took a deep breath and said, "Commander, do you think Xiang Yu, Su Long, Luo Exin, and the others will be defeated?" "I don't know." Lin Muyu shook her head, "but the task of the Longdan army camp this time is to bring up the rear. I must be fully prepared. Set up all our magic crystal cannons here. Once the Imperial army is defeated, someone must be here to stop the iron hooves of the Armor Demon Legion." "Yes." Wei Chao's eyes were burning like flames. He said with a smile, "I believe in Commander on the strategic matters." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Wei Chou, come closer. There is one more thing I want to tell you in secret." "Yes, madam." Wei Chou moved forward, and after Lin Muyu whispered a few words in his ear, Wei Chao's face suddenly became livid and then filled with excitement and joy. He cupped his fist and said, "Don't worry, madam. This subordinate will definitely do a good job. All right, Lin Muyu said with a smile. Wei Chou, go secretly deploy the magic crystal cannons. General Shui, go prepare the cavalry regiment of the Longdan army camp. Citizen Fengxi, you too control the 50,000 elites of the Longdan army camp. Set up the camp here, and wait for the demons to attack. But the knuckles of her index finger heavily tapped on the map on the table. Chapter 585. On the 3rd of February, Songlin Valley was shrouded in thick fog. There was no wind this morning and the fog floated in the valley like clouds. One could only see 20 meters away. Damn it, how are we going to fight in such a thick fog? At the front of Xiang Yu's army, a centurion of the Tang family grumbled as he sat on the mud wall. Don't be impatient. The veteran at the side twisted the cork of the water bottle and drank a mouthful of strong alcohol. We can't see it, and neither can the demon race. The centurion furrowed his brows. I am the army of the Seven Seas Cities Tang clan. Why should we be on the front lines? Everyone knows that once the demons attack, we will immediately be crushed into meat paste. No matter the outcome of this battle, we are destined to die. Old donkey, why aren't you panicking? Panicking? What's there to be afraid of? What's more, what haven't I experienced in my life? I was a mercenary before the age of 30 and roamed freely. After that, I joined the army and fought with the Tang army. I drank the strong liquor of Lingdong, killed the barbarians of the south, and slept with the women of the northern desert. My life has long been worth it. Now that I'm dying here, I can earn the name of a hero of the empire. Who knows? Maybe the prostitutes that I've slept with in some tavern will see my name on the nation-guarding monument and never forget it for the rest of their lives. F***CK. The centurion was furious. You wily old fox, I knew I couldn't talk to you too much. Otherwise, your skin will get thicker and thicker. Old donkey chuckled. General, did you see the fog this morning? What's so interesting about fog? Sai, you might not know this, but fog is also a form of knowledge. Look, the fog this morning is flowing and not in patches, but in patches. This means that there must be a huge commotion in the distance. This fog is called ominous fog. I think nothing good will happen this morning. If the demon race doesn't attack, there will most likely be a spiritual beast attack. Pumph, you old fart. Scram to the side and drink. Don't disturb this daddy's defense. Old Donkey Head laughed heartily as he carried his water bag and walked to the side of the 2-meter-tall wall. He looked into the dense fog in the distance and laughed with hazy eyes. He raised his head and continued to drink. The strong alcohol flowed down his throat, but just as he was enjoying this kind of happiness, he suddenly felt a chill at the back of his neck. Then he lost consciousness. Poochie! A giant iron spear pierced through Old Donkey Head's neck and stabbed him into the wall. Even his neck was twisted and his head was about to fall off. It was a tragic death. God damn it! The centurion's face was filled with anger. Sound the drums, the demons are coming. Roar, roar, roar. The roars of the armor demons could be heard from within the dense fog. Giant black shadows appeared one after another. Groups of armor demons were covered in armor and carried huge steel shields. Their faces were filled with killing intent. What was even more shocking was that behind the first line of armor demons was a group of armor demons carrying trees. 5 to 10 armor demons were carrying tree trunks that were dozens of meters long as they charged over. Release the arrows. The centurion's eyes were already bloodshot. At this moment, he was incomparably afraid. He knew that they couldn't win this battle no matter what. The armor demons had come prepared, so the traps at the back were definitely useless. Roar! An armor demon leaped over and swung its battle axe in the air, sending the head of a 10-man squad leader flying along with his helmet. Blood splattered everywhere. Everyone was dumbfounded. This time, everyone realized that not only did the demons have a shocking number, but the quality of their weapons and defensive equipment had also increased by a large margin. Behind the earth wall, the soldiers rapidly released arrows, but it was completely useless. The armor demons in the front row raised their shields high and blocked the arrows one after another. When they got close, they swung their swords and chopped down. How could the strength of ordinary soldiers resist the armor demons? In the blink of an eye, the first line of defense was directly broken through. The earth wall was smashed through by the armor demons one after another. "It's over. General, what should we do?" A corporal turned around and looked at the centurion with an ashen face. "What else can we do?" The centurion stared at him, but he saw an armor demon rushing over from behind the corporal. With a "pu" sound, the long spear pierced through the corporal's heart and sent his body flying. A pair of dark brown eyes glared at the centurion and roared angrily, "Gangba!" The centurion was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly pulled the reins of his warhorse and turned to leave. Whoosh! Behind him, the sound of a long spear piercing through the air could be heard. When the centurion turned around, he saw the last scene before his death. The long spear pierced through his abdomen and directly threw him off the horse's back. It was extremely tragic. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of war drums came from the fog, but no one could see clearly. They could only hurriedly pick up their weapons to resist the enemies in the fog. "Avoid the traps! Avoid the traps!" A messenger with a purple flag on his back rode through the crowd on his horse and ordered loudly, "Pass the Marquis's military order, hold the position, avoid the traps, and lead the demons into the traps." At this time, everyone had calmed down a little, but the continuous screams of the human soldiers in the fog in the distance were too frightening. This calmness was replaced by fear in the blink of an eye. Behind the trap formation, through the fog and clouds, the main force of Xiangyu's army had been lined up in a neat formation. The shield-bearers and spear-bearers were crisscrossing in defense. Behind them were densely packed arrow boxes, ballistae, and archers. Further behind them was the heaven and earth battle formation of 50,000 soldiers formed by Xiangyu. The ground was covered with flags, looking very dignified. Under the commander's flag on the west side of the heaven and earth battle formation, Qin Yin, Lin Muyu, Xiangyu, and others were riding on warhorses. However, they couldn't see the battle in the distance and could only worry. Can the 5-mile trap really stop the armor demons of the demon clan? Sulong asked. No. Narrowing his eyes, Xiangyu shook his head and said, "But it can dampen the spirits of the demons." Qin Yin's spiritual mind was very sharp. She could faintly hear the desperate screams of the soldiers of the Empire before they died in the distance. She felt very uncomfortable, but this was war and everything she had to face. Soon after, a messenger galloped over and cupped his hands, saying, "Marquis, the armor demons are using the long giant trees to push forward and use the giant trees as bridges over the traps. They are already halfway into the traps." "Is that really the case?" Xiangyu clenched his fists and said, "It seems that this is indeed a bloody battle. We can only see the outcome of the battle in terms of position." Beside him, Zhen Yifan was stunned and said, "Didn't Marquis Pingnan pour black beech oil into the traps? If he poured black beech oil and launched it with fire arrows, the front position would immediately turn into a sea of fire. No matter how many armor demons came, they would all die." Xiangyu shook his head. "There are only swords in the traps, not black beech oil." Zhen Yifan was so angry that his face turned pale. He knew that Xiangyu was well versed in the art of war. If he didn't pour black beech oil, it could only be because he didn't want to use this method to stop the demons. Hearing this, Lin Muyu frowned and asked, "I wonder how General Xiangyu plans to repel the enemy?" "It's very simple." Xiangyu pointed forward and said with a smile, "A large amount of black beech oil has been poured into the last trap. As long as the main force of the armor demons comes over, we will launch an attack and push all of them into the black beech oil. I've prepared 10,000 giant ballistae for the demons." Giant ballistae were a new type of weapon developed by the Department of War's Weapons Department. It was a type of weapon that could launch giant ballistae. Lin Muyu looked over carefully. Indeed, there were many giant ballistae in Xiangyu's battle formation. He had practically gathered all the ballistae in the army together. With the impact of the ballistae, even the armor demons would find it hard to withstand. If it was really like this, Perhaps they could indeed win by a surprise move. Furthermore, with the misty weather today, the winged people in the air were similarly unable to see the situation in the human camp clearly. Perhaps Qianfeng would fall for it too. But right at this time, a sharp whistle suddenly came from the air. What is it? Lin Muyu hurriedly pulled out the stellar sword and looked up at the sky. Wei Chou, Situ Sen, and the rest also unsheathed their weapons one after another, while Qin Yan raised his spear and led a group of imperial guards to guard Qin Yan's surroundings. It's the winged people, Wei Chou said loudly. Get ready. Aim at the sky and fire 10,000 arrows at once. Su Muyun shouted in a low voice. No. Zhen Yifan waved his hand and said, the winged people's cries are at least 500 meters away from us. This kind of distance can't harm them at all and will only throw them into confusion. Wait, let's see what the winged people are trying to do. Right at this time, there was a sudden buzz in the air. A black shadow descended from the sky and landed straight into Xiang Yu's 50,000-man universe battle formation. Bam! Bamboo pieces and wild grass splattered everywhere. This pitch-black object actually contained an armor demon carrying a long saber. After stepping out of the protective circle, it roared angrily and stabbed the long saber into the chest of an Empire soldier. Blood splattered everywhere. It abruptly swung its weapon and split the soldier into two. The long saber rapidly slashed at several others. My God! Qin Yin's heart trembled as she watched. Now, she finally understood why Qianfeng chopped down the bamboo and collected the wild grass. He chopped down the bamboo to make bamboo cages, while the wild grass was used to fill the bamboo cages to reduce the impact of the armor demon's landing. These armor demons were transported by the winged people army and dropped directly from the sky. This kind of tactic could only be used by the demon race. Swoosh, 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 countless armor demons fell from the sky like it was raining. Xiang Yu soldiers were caught off guard, and many of them were directly crushed to death. Some of the armor demons that landed were injured, but their ferocity did not diminish. They waved their weapons and started killing indiscriminately in the crowd. Ludus! An armor demon roared angrily. Immediately, many armor demons dropped from the sky charged straight at the giant ballista. Lin Muyu, Xiang Yu, Luo Xian, and the others all felt a chill in their hearts. This was how terrifying Qianfeng was. It was not that he did not know Xiang Yu's plan, but he knew that Xiang Yu was waiting for him with the giant ballista, yet he still managed to win by a surprise move. Buzz! Another huge object fell from the sky. It was an extremely powerful armor demon. It stomped on the bamboo cage and smashed it in the air. The long spear in its hand pierced toward Qin Yin's head with a cold gleam. Your Highness, be careful! Qin Yan hurriedly shouted. Qin Yin looked up. Her beautiful face was filled with coldness. She opened her palm, and a golden ice crystal soared into the sky. Sky Dragon Crystal. Bam! Amidst a loud boom, the armor demon was directly reduced to pieces of flesh and blood in the air. Blood rained down and splattered on Qin Yin's battle armor. Everyone was stunned again. No one knew what level Qin Yin's cultivation had reached now. Chapter 586. Xiang Yu, are you not going to ignite the ebony oil in the last pit? Lin Muyu could not help but ask as she watched the armor demons falling like rain and the soldiers howling miserably. Xiang Yu's face was very pale. He was already in a panic and asked, Is there any use? Qianfeng actually played such a trick. Goddamn Qianfeng, burning the ebony oil will be of no use now. Tens of thousands of armor demons will fall from the sky and tear apart our defense. Bullsh *T. Lin Muyu scolded angrily and said in a low voice, Are you King stupid? The armor demons weigh at least 400 kilograms. A winged person can at most carry 15 kilograms. They need at least 10 winged person to airdrop one armor demon. The demon race only has 70,000 winged person in total. This time, they can airdrop less than 10,000 armor demons. Don't tell me your 100,000 men can't stop 10,000 armor demons? Fire quick. Xiang Yu was immediately enlightened by Lin Muyu's scolding. He hurriedly shouted in a low voice, "What are you waiting for, fire?" "Yes, but—" a Tang family captaincy said with a pale face, "but Marquis, we still have close to 50,000 brothers at the front. Once the fire is ignited, I'm afraid they won't be able to return." Xiangyu hurriedly turned to look at Qin Yin with an extremely pained expression. "Your Highness, what should we do?" Lin Muyu said coldly, "The 50,000 men at the front have already been massacred. There are not many left. If we don't ignite the fire, they will all die for the country. But if we don't ignite the fire, the 200,000 armor demons of Qianfeng and Lei Chong will kill their way through the entire Songlin Valley. When that time comes, we will be waiting for the destruction of the country." Qin Yin gritted her teeth. "Fire!" In the sky, fire arrows were shot randomly. Not long after, the front was filled with flames. Armor demons that were charging forward fell into the fire pit, their cries soaring into the sky. Xiangyu raised his spear and said, "Your Highness, I will personally go to battle." Markipingnan, be careful." "Yes." Xiangyu brandished his spear and shouted, "Brothers, follow me to fight." At this moment, the Qiankuan battle formation had already been penetrated by Qianfeng's airdrop tactic. Therefore, the Qiankuan battle formation could only be stabilized by the forceful impact of cavalries. At the same time, the greater part of those giant ballistae had also been destroyed. A large group of armor demons were covered with saber and sword scars. However, they were not killed. The sun rose, slowly dispersing the fog, greatly improving one's field of vision. In front of them was a chaotic battle, and the victor would not be decided in a short while. At this moment, a row of cavalrymen galloped over and respectfully reported to Zheng Yifan, "Marquis, something bad has happened. A large number of armor demons have appeared on the south side of Songlin Valley and are launching an attack on our right army." Zheng Yifan's entire body trembled, and his face became somewhat pale. He said, "Give the order to defend against the enemy. The Divine Might Battalion must block the demons for me no matter what." Not long after, another group of messengers galloped over. This time, they were reporting to Su Rong. "Commander, the demons have begun to attack our positions. What should we do?" "Defend against the enemy." Su Rong held his long saber and said, "Arrow boxes, ballistae, use everything that can be used. Even if the entire army is annihilated, we must block the demons' attack." "Commander Yu, why aren't you saying anything?" Zheng Yifan suddenly asked. Lin Muyu rode on the snow-treading warhorse and held the stellar sword in her hand. She smiled bitterly and said, "We're in a passive situation. What else can we say? Now, we can only hope that the front, left, and right armies can withstand the attack of the demon race." Su Rong looked at Lin Muyu with undisguised sarcasm in his eyes. He said, "Commander Yu's Longdan army camp is known as the Empire's strongest army. But in the end, where is the Longdan army camp now? Aren't our brothers fighting a bloody battle?" "Is that so?" Lin Muyu looked at him coldly. "Su Rong, remember this clearly. You are the Empire's commander. You are fighting for the Empire, not for me. Where were you when the Longdan army camp was fighting a bloody battle?" Zheng Yifan tried to smooth things over. "All right, commanders, the Empire is in danger now. We should work together to protect the great Qin Empire from being lost." Qin Yin nodded. "Yes, Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui." Lin Muyu held the star's sword and said in a low voice, "Let's go. Bring the 1st Battalion's 2,000 soldiers and follow me. We are going to Su Rong's position to help defend against the enemy." Lin Muyu saluted Qin Yin and said, "Xiao Yin, I am going to help. Be careful." "Yes." Amidst the sound of hooves, Lin Muyu led the 2,000 elites of the Longdan army camp to leave the central army and went straight to the left army where Su Rong's position was. The position was located to the north of Songlin Valley. When Lin Muyu and the others arrived, it was already a chaotic battle. A large number of armor demons broke through the Muyu City Army's shield formation and were wantonly slaughtering the spear formation and bow formation. It's over, A chiliarch of Muyu City looked at the destroyed position and the countless soldiers who died tragically on the ground. He couldn't help but kneel on the ground with tears streaming down his face. He cried, "The Empire is finished! The Empire is finished!" A group of soldiers fought and retreated. Even more people had already begun to collapse. They picked up their weapons and ran away wantonly. The appearance of deserters meant that the entire position was about to be routed. Lin Muyu took the lead and rushed forward. She shouted, "Where is the military governor? Why aren't you punishing the deserters?" A fat officer's face was ashen. He was trembling in fear from the demon's attack. He said, "Commander Yu, we really have no choice." Lei Chong, the god of death, personally led countless armor demons to attack our battle formation. "We can't do anything. None of the people who died had a complete corpse. Execute the military law immediately. Anyone who deserts will be executed." "Yes." Lin Muyu raised the stellar sword and said in a low voice, "Longdan army camp, follow me. Bring back the morale." A group of people swept past like a gust of wind. The forest ground was not suitable for cavalry. Lin Muyu and the others all dismounted and carried their weapons as they rushed forward on foot. As expected, the situation in front of them was very chaotic. The Muyu City army had already been divided into small groups and were being quickly devoured by the demons. At this rate, perhaps Su Rong's 100,000 men would be killed in less than a day. "Go!" Lin Muyu used the fallen star steps and rushed forward like lightning. She waved her sword and shot through a group of armor demons like a bolt of lightning. Everywhere she passed, the armor demons fell to the ground. Just like the humans who had been killed, none of their bodies were intact. Most of them were beheaded by Lin Muyu. The golden light of the god-binding chains surrounded the stellar sword, making it even more indestructible. It could even cut the thick shields held by the armor demons into two. The Holy King realm opened up, shocking the group of armor demons to the point that they couldn't move at all. A group of armor demons also noticed the arrival of Lin Muyu, a fierce general. They immediately raised their weapons and greeted her. At least 50 armor demons attacked with amazing power. But Lin Muyu's power was even more fierce. With a sudden shout, the two martial souls broke out of her body and successively merged into a new martial soul, the Seven Luminaries' celestial sword. The golden sword with the power to break the sky was concentrated around the stellar sword. Suddenly, it swept out. The wind was strong and the rocks were cracked. With just one sword, more than 10 armor demons were all turned into corpses. Damn, Sidusen was dumbfounded. The armor demons were nightmares for others, but for Lin Muyu, the armor demons were slaughtered as if they were vegetables. Sidusen was amazed. His long sword was flowing with the mind-changing formula Xian energy. His sword fell down and killed the armor demons that Lin Muyu didn't have time to clean up. Wei Chao's attack method was even simpler. He pulled the bow and shot arrows, killing the armor demons almost one by one. He was the best archer in the Longdan army camp. With the sharpness of the white diamond arrow, every arrow was aimed at the throat. It was simply a nightmare for the armor demons. At the back, a group of soldiers in the Longdan army camp raised their shields and formed a cone-shaped formation, stabbing forward with Lin Muyu. In terms of combat power, almost none of them could fight with the armor demons face to face. But in terms of the strength of the formation, few armor demons could fight with the cone-shield spear-wielding cavalry of 2,000 heavy cavalries, even if they didn't have mounts. Perhaps they were encouraged by the Longdan army camp. The scattered soldiers of the Muyu city regrouped to fight against the demon clan. Many of them were even announcing, "The Longdan army camp is coming. Lin Muyu is coming. The valiant dragon army is fighting side by side with us." Courage needed to be encouraged. In this way, the news spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and 1,000 to tens of thousands. Su Long army, which was about to collapse, gradually stabilized the situation. The arrow boxes on the hillside were also shooting arrows. The steel arrows kept penetrating the armor demons' bodies. In this kind of forced attack, although the armor demons were fierce, they still suffered heavy losses. At this moment, A heavy voice suddenly came from the crowd of armor demons. Lin Muyu, go to hell. Boom. A blood-red light burst out from the crowd and formed the image of a warhammer. It suddenly fell among the cavalries with cone shield spear-wielding in the Longdan army camp. Suddenly, more than a dozen soldiers were blasted into a pile of flesh and blood by the energy impact. Among the group of armor demons, a man in golden armor swooped down. Lei Chong. Lin Muyu would never forget Lei Chong's ferocious face. It was this demon general who had killed Du Hai, one of the white-robed imperial forest generals, outside Winter Frost City. He had also killed the commander of the Yangwei army, Marquis Wei Minyulin. Use the heavenly book, Situ Sin shouted in a low voice. Suddenly, more than a dozen people launched the dark force of the heavenly book. For a moment, thunder, fire, and frost swept the crowd of armor demons. However, the heavenly book seemed to be unable to do anything to Lei Chong. His body was surrounded by a layer of gang force formed by the Master Devil Force, which completely ignored the power of the heavenly book. Lei Chong jumped high with the warhammer. Layers of the realm force kept binding Lin Muyu's body. This was the brilliance of Lei Chong. He knew how to use the realm force to confine the opponent and then launch a fatal blow. Among the armor demons, Lei Chong was the only one who could achieve such amazing martial arts attainments. However, how could the current Lin Muyu be that reckless kid from back then? Chapter 587. Lei Chong's hammer was very powerful, but Lin Muyu just wanted to see how far Lei Chong's cultivation had advanced. With a low roar, her twin martial souls quickly separated and merged into the seven luminaries' celestial sword. She held the star's sword with both hands and the power of the star's skill surged. The sword was covered with starlight. She directly threw the first appearance of starlight at Lei Chong. Bang! The star force and the guru demonic force surged and exploded, and a shock wave swept out. The surrounding armor demons and soldiers of the Empire all covered their faces. The impact of the fierce wind and the rubble was very destructive. Many armor demons in the distance even raised their shields and made a defensive posture. As if she had hit a cannonball, Lin Muyu was violently bounced back. Her arms were numb. My goodness, Lei Chong's cultivation must have improved again. Lei Chong's golden battle robe fluttered in the wind, and a trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. This blow was actually blocked by Lin Muyu. This little human gave Lei Chong another surprise. Roar! Lei Chong swept the entire demon tribe with his warhammer. Even Chen Feng was somewhat afraid of him, let alone this little human in front of him. With a roar, Lei Chong's guru demonic force surged. There was a faint dark vortex dancing on his arms. His boots stepped on the rubble and rushed toward Lin Muyu. What greeted her was a heavy hammer. This hammer was simple and clear, but it was extremely difficult to dodge. Lin Muyu could not help but secretly complain. She gently opened her left hand, and a star ribbon danced in her hand. At the same time, a series of gourd vines broke out of the ground and entangled Lei Chong's feet. However, it did not work at all. Lei Chong's strength was too strong. The dense dark vortex between his feet directly tore all the gourd vines into pieces. The hammer fell from the sky and hit directly at Lin Muyu's head. The astral shackles suddenly spread out and bound Lei Chong's feet. Lin Muyu took advantage of the situation and swung her astral sword, blocking Lei Chong's hammer with a dang sound. The intense shock made Lin Muyu feel numb all over his body. His body was knocked to the side of the mountain rock. Lin Muyu maintained her calm. The king's battle flames surged under her feet. She stepped on the mountain rock with her battle boots and leaped into the air. She landed on Lei Chong's shoulder like an agile monkey. Lei Chong's body was really too strong, like a giant. The moment Lin Muyu landed on his shoulder, she let out a low roar. The gourd vines extended from her left hand and entangled Lei Chong's neck. The star's sword in her right hand shone brightly. The blood-red stardust turned into rocks and suddenly chopped at Lei Chong's neck. 5 mountains descend from the sky. Bang! The blade chopped at the dark vortex, and the shock made both of her arms numb. Lei Chang's protective Gangqi was not ordinary. However, Lin Muyu did not believe it. She gritted her teeth and formed an iron fist with her left hand. With a whistling sound, she punched at Lei Chang's head. Boom! Lei Chang's body suddenly stopped. It was as if he was frozen. However, half a second later, a wave of fist energy dissipated from his head. Lin Muyu's punch still did not work. Instead, at this time, Lin Muyu suddenly felt a pain in her legs. Lei Chang had already grabbed her feet and thrown her from above. Bang! The golden light of the diamond amulet shone in all directions. Lin Muyu and her sword heavily smashed a whole rock. Stone chips flew up into the sky. The whole ground seemed to be shaking because of the fight between the two experts. But Wei Chou and Situ Shui were anxious. Wei Chou raised his hand and shot an arrow. However, he did not have enough strength. The arrow only caused a ripple on the surface of Lei Chang's protective Gangqi. Before Situ Shui could save her, Lei Chang roared and rushed over. His boots crushed the rock, and his battle hammer dragged a horrifying trace on the ground and swept across the broken rocks. Bang! With a loud bang, Lin Muyu was swept away. The golden gourd wall around her was about to break. The energy of the diamond amulet was also on the verge of collapsing. She flew out like a cannonball and directly hit the shields of a group of armor demons. The force was so powerful that the group of armor demons, who were born with great strength, actually fell down. Boof! The group of armor demons roared and waved their spears, sabers, and battle hammers, as if they were going to dismember Lin Muyu. However, at this moment, the little human in front of them suddenly rolled a few meters away. She stood up in the air, and her palms were enshrouded with icy air. Suddenly, Lin Muyu passed through the crowd of armor demons. Snowflakes fell behind her. The next moment, nearly 100 armor demons around her were frozen into ice sculptures. 1 second later, all the ice sculptures were broken into pieces. The destructive power of the jade snow ice was truly shocking. Seeing that his subordinates were killed so cruelly, Lei Chang was furious. He rushed over with his battle hammer. His whole body was wrapped in a strong dark vortex, and the battle hammer fell from the sky. Clang! Lin Muyu blocked it with the star's sword. However, Lei Chang's speed was too fast. The battle hammer changed direction and swept horizontally. When Lin Muyu blocked it again, Lei Chang's battle boot, which was wrapped in a strong master's devil power, kicked toward Lin Muyu's chest. There was a great difference in height between them. Lin Muyu stomped on the ground with her left foot and flew up. Her right foot was full of mysterious energy of 5 elements and 8 wastelands, and she kicked at Lei Chang's battle boot. Bang! Lei Chang's battle boots were instantly shattered by the power of the 7 planets, revealing a smelly foot that was covered in black hair and had strong muscles. Lei Chang cackled loudly as he took the opportunity to stomp down. He was actually not afraid of the profound energy of the 5 elements 8 desolation annihilation. Lin Muyu's chest armor was kicked. She felt as if a mountain was pressing down on her chest. She couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood as she hurriedly retreated. Lei Chang's strength was too strong. It wouldn't be easy for her to fight him one-on-one. Go to hell, Lin Muyu. Lei Chang laughed crazily. He swept his battle hammer 3 times in a row, forcing Lin Muyu to be unable to fight back. He saw an opportunity and spun his battle hammer. With a dang sound, the stellar sword was sent flying. He could not help but laugh proudly. He raised his battle hammer and smashed it down on Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu's entire body seemed to be controlled by Lei Chang's domain. She could not move at all. She quickly raised her arms to defend herself, and with a loud shout, she summoned the Golden Dragon Blood Battle Shield. Bang! When the battle hammer fell, Lin Muyu felt as if her arms were about to be shattered. The Dragon Blood Battle Shield was instantly shattered. Ah! Lei Chang laughed crazily and swung his battle hammer. This hammer strike was bound to smash Lin Muyu into pieces. However, at this moment, a flame appeared on Lei Chang's side. The flame spread and lingered in Lin Muyu's palm. When Lei Chang turned around, he saw a rapidly spinning sword engulfed in flames flying towards him. Dragon Flame Spiral Break. Pung! The stellar sword was extremely sharp. Under the power of the dragon flame spiral break, Lei Chang's protective aura finally disintegrated. In the next moment, the golden armor on his abdomen was completely smashed by the stellar sword. However, before the stellar sword could penetrate further, Lei Chang swung his battle hammer and smashed the stellar sword away with a dang sound. But at this moment, Lin Muyu had already closed in like a ghost. Her right hand reached for her waist, and a shining dagger appeared in her hand. It was little magic sound. She grabbed the chain on Lei Chang's waist with her left hand and stuck to it like a bat. The magic sound dagger was filled with the 7 luminaries' celestial sword's Xian energy. She stabbed at Lei Chang's abdomen. Puchi. Finally, blood. Lin Muyu pulled horizontally. Lei Chang's abdomen was instantly cut by nearly 20 centimeters. Blood flowed out. In pain, Lei Chang threw away his battle hammer and opened his palm to grab Lin Muyu's shoulder armor. He grabbed Lin Muyu with one hand as if he was grabbing a small animal and slammed her to the ground. With a bang, Lin Muyu was dizzy and her consciousness began to fade. Before she could react, the armor on her back received another heavy blow. It was Lei Chang's foot attack. Wah! Lin Muyu could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. She struggled to convert the 7 luminaries' celestial sword's Xian energy into the dragon blood battle shield on her back. At this moment, there was a sudden dragon roar. Icatosaurus, which had not been seen for a long time, seemed to have sensed a great threat to its master's life and directly flew out from the alternate dimension. It had been a long time since they last met, and the Crimson Crystal Dragon had undergone a huge change. No one knew what it had experienced in the alternate dimension, but its size had increased by nearly half. The dark golden scales on its body looked very hard. It raised its ferocious head and directly spat out a mouthful of dragon flame at Lei Chang. Whoosh! Lei Chang's eyebrows and hair were instantly burned off. The golden armor on his body was also melted. The surface of the gold plating turned into liquid gold and flowed to the ground. The steel below was instantly dyed red. Damn it! Lei Chang was only injured but not killed. With a roar, he opened his hand and grabbed the neck of Icatosaurus and swung the battle hammer in his right hand. Bang! Under the hammer, Icatosaurus howled in pain as its scales scattered. After all, Lei Chang was too strong. Lin Muyu's heart ached. She hurriedly shouted, "Armor form!" The next moment, the Icatosaurus in Lei Chang's hand suddenly turned into a scarlet light and dissipated. Instead, it turned into scales that stuck to Lin Muyu's white imperial forest armor. Even so, it was useless. Lin Muyu was already injured and could only use less than 20% of her original strength. She was definitely no match for Lei Chang. "Quick, save the commander!" Situ Sun roared and leaped up. His entire body was like a rock spreading its wings as he dove towards Lei Chang. The sword in his hand shone with dazzling astral power. It was initial starlight. Lei Chang did not care about a small fry like Sidu Senator. He raised his battle hammer and blocked the attack. Ding! Sidu Sen was sent flying. However, Lei Chang was not much better off. The price of seriously injuring Lin Muyu was that his combat power had been greatly reduced. At most, he could only use 40% of his strength. The most serious injury was the wound that Lin Muyu had made on his abdomen. It was still bleeding. Fortunately, he had the demonic power to protect him. Otherwise, his intestines would have flowed out. Rustle? Like a butterfly, Sidu Shui jumped up and down in a few leaps and landed beside Lin Muyu. Seeing Lin Muyu lying on the ground, she felt so sorry for him that her eyes turned red. Without saying a word, she pulled Lei Chang's arm and put it on hers. She activated her chi and quickly left this dangerous place. "Fire!" Wei Chou shouted. Chapter 588. Hundreds of Longdan army camp soldiers shot arrows at the same time, and all of them were white diamond arrows. In the blink of an eye, Lei Chang's chest and arms were full of white diamond arrows, but his protective gang chi had begun to condense, so the effect of this kind of shooting would be greatly reduced. Wei Chou could not help but roar, "Brothers of Muyu City, what are you waiting for? Are your arrow boxes just for decoration?" Only then did the remnants of the Twilight Rain City's army turn around. Several centurions personally set up the arrow boxes and pulled the bowstrings of the boxes. Immediately, thick and long steel arrows flew out and vibrated on Lei Chong's skin. Although they could not penetrate his skin, at least they could greatly reduce Lei Chong's strength. A group of armored demons moved forward and blocked the arrows for Lei Chong with their shields as they shouted in the language of demons. Lei Chong's face was filled with anger. He looked at Lin Muyu from afar and roared, "Lin Muyu, just you wait. Lei Chong, will definitely kill you. You bastard, just you wait." Leaning on his battle hammer, the arrogant Lei Chong slowly retreated under the escort of a group of armored demons. At the same time, another group of armored demons raised their weapons and launched the next round of attack. "What are you waiting for?" A captaincy of Muyu City raised his arm and shouted, "Commander Yu is already injured. Throw the black beach oil barrels and fire arrows to stop the attack of the armored demons." Behind them, the catapults immediately threw out barrels of black beach oil, which splashed in the crowd of armored demons. The armored demons looked at each other in surprise and only felt the smell of oil in their noses. However, the armored demons who had never fought against humans before did not know what it was. They looked up together and found a dense sea of fire arrows in the sky. They couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Then, they praised in a poetic way, "That graffiti pot of deer just now." Translation: "My mother, I am me, a different kind of firework, boom." The raging flames soared into the sky, covering the area of 1 mile in the valley. As a result, those armored demons were badly burned. In the blink of an eye, this round of attack of the armored demons had been retreated. After all, even Lei Chong had been beaten back. Those armored demons had lost their leader and had become a masterless army. Looking at the armored demons retreating in the distance, a group of soldiers of Muyu City suddenly raised their weapons and cheered as if they had survived a disaster. At this time, a captaincy of Muyu City came over with a long saber stained with the blood of the armored demons. He saluted to Lin Muyu and said, "General Su Zhang, thank you for your reinforcement. Otherwise, I'm afraid no one in this position could defeat Lei Chong." The surface of Lin Muyu's body was glowing with a faint golden light. Her two martial souls were absorbing the aura between heaven and earth as fast as possible to replenish her loss. At the same time, they were healing the internal injuries suffered by Lin Muyu. He nodded and said, "General Su, thank you for guarding here. The mission of the Longdan army camp is not here, so we can only provide a little reinforcement. Lei Chong has been injured, but he will definitely come back. I hope General can strengthen the defense and do a good job. Don't be caught off guard like this time." "I understand." When it was nearly noon, the entire Tsonglin Valley was boiling. The air was filled with a thick smell of blood. The front army and the left and right army had suffered from the frontal attack of the armored demons and suffered heavy losses. When Lin Muyu returned to the front army, she found that at least half of the 150,000 soldiers of Xiangyu had been killed. There were numerous wounded soldiers. Less than an hour after the battle started, hundreds of casualty barracks had been full. The people of the Department of Spiritual Medicine were very busy. Are you injured?" Su Muyun came over and asked. Lin Muyu was really embarrassed at this time. Her white robe was badly damaged. Her shoulder armor was almost crushed by Lei Chong. Her white robe was covered with mud and the juice of grass. Behind her was an Acatosaurus whose neck was injured and bleeding. Qin Yin hurriedly got off the horse and checked his injury. Fortunately, his muscles and bones were not injured. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. "What on earth happened?" Qin Yin asked. She knew that ordinary enemies could not hurt Lin Muyu so badly. "We met Lei Chong." Lin Muyu smiled bitterly. "Lei Chong?" Qin Yin was stunned. Su Muyun also frowned and said, "Lei Chong appeared in the Su Long army?" "Yes, fortunately, Lei Chong was also injured. He should not lead the armor demons to attack the Su family's army for a while." "That's good." Su Muyun let out a sigh of relief. Right at this moment, a group of cavalrymen covered in blood rushed out of the battle formation and went straight to the middle army. It was Xiang Yu and the others. Xiang Yu's face was splashed with the blood of the armor demons. After wiping it off, he turned over and knelt down in front of Qin Yin, saying, "Your Highness, the attack of the armor demons is too fierce. If it goes on, my troops will be exhausted. We have more than 30,000 wounded soldiers. We need to rest and replenish our supplies. I request that the Iron Blade Army of the Middle Army should face the enemy head-on." The Iron Blade Army? Luo Xian's eyes turned cold. Xiang Yu looked at him indifferently and said, "Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in one day. Are you saying that the Iron Blade Army of the Middle Army is just a decoration?" Luo Xian said, "Let's do it. The Iron Blade Army has been waiting for such a chance to make contributions." Qin Yin said softly, "Approved." Su Muyun remained silent. The battle situation was so fierce. What could the Iron Blade Army do? Xiang Yu's corps couldn't turn the situation around, neither could the Iron Blade Army. The demon race's fighting force was very fierce. Every time an armor demon was killed, they would lose 5 to 8 soldiers of the Empire. No corps would be willing to pay such a high price. Lin Muyu finally understood why Qin Yin arranged for the Longdan army camp to bring up the rear. This was destined to be a war of attrition. The later the Longdan army camp went to battle, the less damage they would suffer. There was no shortcut in a real war. It was a war of attrition. The current war was just using the Empire's national power to consume the demon race's national power. In the blink of an eye, the afternoon passed. Iron Blade Army fought armored demons with spear and shield formation, which was similar to the tactics of Lin Muyu's spear-shield cavalry camp. Luo Xian was brave enough to lead the Iron Blade Army to fight demons until the evening. After the bloody sunset, it would soon fall into the night. What a concern! If demons fought at night, what should humans do? After all, they didn't know about the night vision ability of armored demons. No matter what, humans' night vision ability was extremely poor. At this time, in the Songlin Valley, a large number of troops were being mobilized in the demon race's left army camp. The high-level demon race soldiers began to light lamps, bringing a ray of light to the demon race's simple tent. Lei Chong was sitting on the seat of one of the 2 marshals in the central tent with a warhammer in his hand. A high-level demon was dressing the wound on his abdomen with an indignant look on his face. With the sound of footsteps, Qian Feng came in with a group of demon generals. He looked at Lei Chong with concern. "Marshal, I heard that you were wounded in the left demon army camp. What happened? Who could hurt you like this? You almost got your guts cut open." Lei Chong's expression was extremely ugly. In his eyes, Qian Feng's words were simply ridiculing him. He slammed his fist on the table and said sternly, "Lin Muyu, I must kill this person." "Him again?" Qian Feng frowned. "Lin Muyu has sabotaged our celestial race's plans time and time again. If we don't get rid of this person, it will be difficult for us to conquer the Central Plains. General Lei Chong, please rest well and choose another day to fight." Lei Chong said, "No, I don't need to rest. I heard that His Majesty is here?" "Yes, in the central tent. I'm going to see His Majesty." "His Majesty said that since you're wounded, you don't need to see him." "No, I'm going now." Lei Chong put on his armor and his blood-stained golden cloak. He went straight to the central tent. Qian Feng shook his head helplessly and followed. Inside the tent, the Demon King was still dressed in a black robe. He sat on his seat while the sage hid behind the curtains. Qian Feng and Lei Chong cupped their fists and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty." "You may rise." The Demon King whispered, "I heard that Marshal Lei Chong is wounded. It's just a small injury. It won't affect my service to the celestial race." Lei Chong said in a low voice. "Ah, that's good." The Demon King said, "It's getting late. Let's call a truce tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will launch a fierce attack. We must take down the human camp west of Songlin Valley. Have an early rest, marshals. Rest well and go." "Yes, I'll take my leave first." After the 2 marshals left, the sacred master floated out from the curtains. His body was like a dark shadow that had condensed together. He smiled and said, Your Majesty? Even the ferocious beast Lei Chong was injured. This Lin Muyu is indeed not simple. Why don't I go and meet him? The Demon King shook his head. Sage, don't act rashly. There are many experts in the Empire. I wonder if that old thing Qin Han is here. If he is, if Qin Han and Lin Muyu work together, the sage doesn't have the confidence to win. Don't worry, the celestial race has the entire Shattered Cauldron realm in mind. Lin Muyu is just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Oh right, have the 300,000 elite soldiers from the Iha kingdom come out of seclusion? Qin Yi is a sly old fox. If there wasn't a fat piece of meat in front of him, why would he come out? Oomph. At that moment, an invisible aura suddenly descended from the sky. The Demon King and the sage were shocked at the same time. Their bodies trembled and they started to activate their domains to resist the attacker. The attacker must be a god to be able to attack the Demon King and the sage at the same time. Moreover, it might not be as simple as a hierarch. The other party's aura grew stronger and stronger. Soon, all the lights in the central tent were extinguished. The few high-level Protoss soldiers guarding the central tent were dumbfounded. They died with blood flowing out of their mouths and noses. The Demon King suddenly stood up. Divine power circulated around him as a rainbow light shot into the sky. He shouted, "Who is it? Come out and meet me if you have the guts." The big tent was penetrated by the power, but there was no one there. It was just a silent starry sky. She left. The sage smiled faintly. Looks like the Iha kingdom is ready to make a move. They actually let her test us first. Heh, the Demon King laughed and said, "A mere useless god dares to show off in front of an expert. Don't these clowns from the Iha kingdom know that their death is near?" In the night sky, a red figure flew across the sky. The moonlight shone on her elegant face. It was Divine Monarch Fire Dance, Ouyang Yen. Her face was slightly pale. She had used her divine realm domain to intimidate the Demon King and the sage. Not only did she not hurt them, but she also suffered the consequences of her own actions. The people of the celestial race were indeed unfathomable. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.